Chapter 4883. The people of the Divine Union were stunned. Bai Susu was even more surprised. Lin Xian actually had such a connection with the Dugu family? It was unbelievable. The others were in an uproar. It seemed like Lin Xian was prepared. No wonder he dared to compete with the Dragon Palace. Some people also said that the Nalan family and the Dugu family were not bad, but they were still weak compared to the Dragon Palace. Indeed, how many experts were there beside the Dragon Prince in the Dao Palace? Lin Xian only had 2, so there was nothing to be afraid of. The people of the Dragon Palace regained their composure and sneered. I want to see how much trouble you can cause. Xiaoyi, hurry up and give Lin Gongzi a gift. Old Master Dugu said to Dugu Xiaoyi. Dugu Xiaoyi nodded and walked out to greet Lin Gongzi. With a smile, she flipped her hand and took out a treasure box. There were 3 leaves in it. What was that? The surrounding people were stunned. Lan Ziyu and the people of the Dragon Palace sneered. This was a trap. They were all watching a good show. The people of the Divine Union were also puzzled. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He took a deep breath and waved his hand, taking the 3 leaves. This was to thank Old Master Dugu. Lin Xian was overjoyed. The 3 leaves contained a terrifying sword aura. Old Master Dugu said, "It's good that you like it. These are the 3 sword leaves left behind by the Dugu family's top swordsman, the Dugu sword demon 30,000 years ago. It contains supreme sword principles and is now a gift to you." What? Something left behind by the Dugu sword demon? The surrounding people were stunned when they heard this. Then, they all gasped. The Dugu sword demon was incredible. Back then, he had led the Dugu family to the peak. Back then, the Dugu family had not been afraid of the remote antiquity family. They were even extremely strong. Apart from the remote antiquity family, who had emperor weapons, no one was a match for the Dugu family. In that era, the Dugu sword demon had swept through everything with his iron sword. How could the things he left behind be weak? In an instant, countless people exclaimed. The eyes of those from Dragon Palace turned red. Damn it, what was going on? The Dugu clan had actually taken out such a good item. At the side, Nalanda also smiled. Look, I forgot that I also prepared something for young master. I hope that young master can accept this world core. The reason why the 8th elder, Nalanda, was able to become the patriarch was all because of Lin Xian. That was why he gave him a world as soon as he made a move. The surrounding people exclaimed in surprise again. The people of Dragon Palace were mad. Damn it. How could this kid have such good luck? On the other hand, the people from the Divine Union were extremely excited. This was great. Did you see that? They weren't without a foundation. The Divine Union was extremely happy. Following which, more and more powerhouses arrived. At that moment, a voice was heard and resounded throughout the area. The Fire Dragon race had arrived. It was the Fire Dragon race. Many people cried out in surprise. This was also a member of the Dragon race. His strength was extremely terrifying. Inside the Dao Palace, the Dragon Prince's lips curled into a smile. Although the matter between the Nalan family and the Dugu family had caused him to frown, it was still not enough. But so what? The 2 families stood on the side of the Divine Union and still couldn't compete with the Dragon Palace. Clearly, the Fire Dragon clan had also come to congratulate him. He sat there with a confident smile on his face. This time, the Fire Dragon Princess was leading the Fire Dragon tribe. Behind her were many powerhouses. She didn't go to the Dao Palace. Instead, she walked directly to the side of the plaza. The Fire Dragon race's patriarch was in seclusion. It seemed like he had sent his daughter. Many people were discussing this. In that case, it was understandable that the other party didn't go directly to the Dao Palace. After all, he was just a young man. However, everyone guessed that the other party was definitely on the side of the Dragon Palace. Everything else aside, they were all from the Dragon race. This made everyone know that the other party was definitely on the Dragon Prince's side. The people from the Dragon Palace were excited once again. Lan Ziyu stood up and said, "Sister Dragon Princess, you're here?" The Fire Dragon Princess glanced at him. Was this the Dragon Prince's cultivation partner? He didn't seem like much, she thought to herself. However, she remained expressionless and nodded slightly as a greeting. This stunned Lan Ziyu. What was the meaning of this? Was she being ignored? Or was he looking down on her? The people from the Dragon Palace also frowned. At this moment, another figure stood up. This man was wearing dark armor and had an extraordinary aura. His name was Nangu, and he was a top prodigy of the Black Dragon race. If Lan Ziyu didn't have enough face, then it shouldn't be a problem for him to come out. His status was not inferior to that of the Wind Dragon race. In fact, he was even stronger. Long time no see, Dragon Princess. Nangu greeted her. He was also acquainted with the other party. However, the Fire Dragon Princess only nodded. She had no intention of coming in. Instead, she walked to the palace next to her. She had met Lin Gongzi. The surrounding people were stunned. She was here for Lin Xian? How was that possible? She was from the Fire Dragon race. Shouldn't she be on the Dragon Palace's side? The people from the Dragon Palace were stunned. Nangu's expression was also ugly as he stood there in a daze. In the Dao Palace, the Dragon Prince's expression darkened. The wine cup in his hand also turned into powder with a crack. How dare the dragon race not come over? She had gone to meet Lin Xian. This made him very angry. Was this a slap to his face? The Fire Dragon race was truly courting death. However, the Fire Dragon Princess didn't care about the gazes of others. She went to Lin Xian's side and started to congratulate him. She waved her hand and took out a jade bottle. These were 2 bottles of Fire Dragon Divine Liquid. I hope you don't mind. The surrounding people were stunned. This was the treasure of the Fire Dragon race. Normally, it wouldn't be passed on. However, she had given it to Lin Xian. She had even given him 2 bottles. The Dragon Princess was too courteous. Please take a seat. Lin Xian gestured. Bai Susu received it with a smile and invited the Dragon Princess and the others to take a seat. The people from the Divine Union were still in disbelief. They had not expected the Fire Dragon race to be on their side. Then they laughed. Toad even jumped out and walked to the Dragon Palace's side. Hey, does your face hurt? The Crimson Dragon snorted. I think some people are too arrogant. Do they really think they can cover the sky with one hand? Despicable. Nangu gritted his teeth. The people from the Dragon Palace were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. Inside the Dao Palace, the clan leader of the Blue Clan and the clan leader of the Wind Clan frowned. Lin Xian was so powerful. What did he do to the Fire Dragon Clan? Whatever it was, I will make the Fire Dragon race pay the price. The Dragon Prince's expression was cold. His words carried a trace of killing intent. The eyes of the Blue Race and Wind Race leaders flickered. It seemed like someone was going to be unlucky. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, could he really go against the Dragon Palace? They shook their heads and sneered. The Fire Dragon race didn't know what was good for them. They were doomed. Chapter 4884. Long Ao's side was furious. The people of Dragon Palace were gnashing their teeth. They were slapped in the face. Everyone was talking about it. It seemed that Lin Xian had really gathered a group of allies to fight against the Dragon Palace. However, it seemed that it was still not enough. Even with the addition of the Fire Dragon tribe, it didn't seem to be enough. Their only purpose was to slap Dragon Palace in the face and make them proud. But in the future, it would be very dangerous. At that moment, a loud voice came from afar. The Yi clan of the remote antiquity had arrived. The crowd was in an uproar when they heard this. The Yi clan was not an ordinary clan of the ancients. It was a monarch clan, and it possessed an extreme weapon. Its foundation was definitely top-notch. This was a true overlord. Was the Yi clan here as well? Many people were shocked. Some people gasped. That's not right. Yi Wudao, the genius of the Yi family, was cultivating in the Heaven sect. Why would he come to the Dao sect? No one could understand. Perhaps it was because Yi Wudao was in the Celestial sect, but Yi Wudao was too strong. You should know that the Heaven sect also has an imperial prince, Kuanpeng Zi. His family is also an imperial prince, the Kuanpeng clan. His background was no weaker than Yi Wudao's, but his innate talent was far superior to Leaf Dao deniers. Yi Wudao had the sacred body of the ancients, while the Kunpeng Zi was a true imperial prince. The gap between the two was still huge. With the Kuanpeng master present, Leaf Dao denier would only be second. I'm guessing that the Yi clan is here to join forces with the Dragon Prince. The two monarch clans belong to different orthodoxies. They worked together to suppress Kuan Pongzi. That would be beneficial to both the Dragon Prince and Leaf Doudinier. As soon as he said this, the others nodded in agreement. That was indeed the case. After thinking about it, they felt that this was the only reasonable explanation. The Dragon Prince is currently doing his best to challenge the Holy Gulf Tower and isn't around. Should I inform him? The Patriarch of the Wind Dragon clan asked. However, the Dragon Crown Prince said, the Dragon Prince doesn't allow anyone to disturb him. Let's go. As the second in the Dragon Palace, the Dragon Crown Prince had unlimited confidence that he could definitely represent the Dragon Palace. Good, we will follow. The Blue Clan's Patriarch stood up, and so did the Wind Dragon Clan's Patriarch. Behind them was the Heavenly Saber Mansion's Mansion Lord. They all followed the Dragon Crown Prince outside. A group of people appeared in the square. The people from the Yi clan had arrived, and the one leading them was the Great Elder of the Yi clan. Next to him was the young Yi Wudao, and behind him were a few experts from the Yi clan. Wherever they passed, the people around them greeted them. Greetings, Senior Yi. Young noble Wudao was becoming more and more powerful. In response to such greetings, Leaf Doudinier and the Grand Elders simply nodded. After all, these people couldn't even be mentioned in the same breath as them. The others didn't dare to get angry because the two sides weren't on the same level to begin with. Even on the buried Emperor Star, the Yi family is one of the top families. The other remote antiquity families paled in comparison. Greetings, fellow Taoists of the Yi family. At this moment, a group of people walked towards them. The one leading them was the Dragon Crown Prince. The Wind Clan's clan head, the Blue Clan's clan head, and the Heavenly Saber Manor's clan head cupped their fists and greeted Xiao Chun. The members of the Yi family stopped, and the Great Elder nodded slightly. The Dragon Crown Prince smiled and walked over to greet the Yi family senior. This must be Brother Wudao, right? You're even more extraordinary than the rumors. The Dragon Crown Prince is too courteous. Leaf Doudinier smiled. Long Ao said that the Dragon Prince was in seclusion to break through the Holy Gulf Tower, so he couldn't leave. Therefore, I represent the Dragon Prince and the Dragon Palace to welcome the senior of the Yi family. I hope Elder Yi won't take offense. Please. He made a gesture of invitation. The surrounding people exclaimed, Heavens, is the Dragon Palace going to join forces with the Yi family? It's too inconceivable. This way, the Dragon Palace would be even more terrifying. Who would be a match for the Dragon Palace? Previously, the Dragon Palace had a terrifying background. Not only did they have the support of the elders, but more importantly, the Dragon Prince had the backing of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. That was an emperor clan. Now, with the addition of the Yi family, it would be 2 emperor clans. Even the Kunlun sect would have to back down. The members of the Dragon Palace stood up excitedly. Lan Ziyu, Nangu, and the others laughed. They stared at Lin Xian with cold radiance in their eyes. Kid, the Dragon Palace is getting stronger. Let's see how you'll die. The others also shook their heads and sighed. This time, Lin Xian was really unlucky. He had kicked an iron plate. Yes, he still wanted to contend with the Dragon Palace. This time, it was completely impossible. The expressions of the Divine Union members changed drastically. They felt a huge pressure. Beside them, the Dugu family, Nalan family, and Fire Dragon family also looked solemn. Nalanda and Old Man Dugu did not regret it. Nalanda's position was given to him by Lin Xian. Old Man Dugu's life was saved by Lin Xian. The two of them stood firmly by Lin Xian's side. On the other hand, the Fire Dragon tribe's side turned black. They did not agree to it previously. However, the Fire Dragon lady was stubborn and they could not stand by Lin Xian's side. Now, it seemed that they had completely offended the Dragon Palace. The Fire Dragon tribe would be in danger if the Dragon Palace punished them in the future. Toad, Crimson Dragon, Fu Hongya, and the others had strange expressions. Soon, they sneered. The Dragon Palace and the Yi family joining forces? What a joke. Let's see who kicked an iron plate. They knew the relationship between Yi Wudao and Lin Xian. At the thought of this, the Crimson Dragon and the others sneered. Ahead, the Yi family's Grand Elder also smiled. The Dragon Prince was too polite. Everyone knew that the Dragon Prince was in seclusion to be crowned king. And this time, we're not here to look for the Dragon Prince. We're not here to look for the Dragon Prince? The surrounding people were stunned. Even the Dragon Prince was stunned. Who was it? Could it be that they were looking for him? Did they like him? Because he was the same as Yi Dao. They both had the ancient body and a powerful background. However, he was not the first person. Did Yi Dao want to join forces with him? In that case, it was not impossible. He was extremely excited. However, Yi Dao did smile. He said, "We're here to congratulate Brother Lin." Brother Lin? Hearing this, the Dragon Prince was stunned. The smile on his face froze. The Blue Clan's patriarch, Wind Dragon Clan's patriarch, and the others were also stunned. The others were in an uproar as they discussed madly. Who was Brother Lin? Who could be so important to the Yi family? Was there anyone with the surname Lin among the top experts of the Path sect? There was one called Lin Jiutian. It couldn't be him. Countless voices sounded. There was someone called Lin Jiutian on the Xin ranking. He was also very strong. However, was it worth the Yi family to mobilize so many people? Could it be that Lin Jiutian had a relationship with the Yi family that they did not know? Thinking of this, everyone was even more curious. The Dragon Crown Prince's face darkened. He wasn't here for him or the Dragon Prince. Damn it, that Lin Jiutian was so lucky. Yi Dao shook his head again and smiled. We're not here for Lin Jiutian. The brother Lin I'm talking about is Lin Xian. Chapter 4885. Lin Xian. Hearing this name, the surrounding people were stunned. The smile on the Dragon Prince's face disappeared instantly. His eyes widened in disbelief. Lin Xian? Which Lin Xian? He asked quickly. The leaders of the Blue Tribe and the Wind Dragon Tribe were stunned as well. Could it be the Lin Xian they knew? What kind of joke was this? How could that kid be related to the Emperor clan? The others were also discussing. Was it the Lin Xian from the Divine Union? That was impossible. Where did he get that kind of face? Yi Dao smiled but didn't say anything. He simply walked to the side of the hall and stopped in front of it. Yi Dao smiled. Brother Lin, we meet again. Wu Dao, you're too polite. You didn't even greet me when you came. Lin Xian stood up and walked forward with a smile. The two of them were talking and laughing. It was obvious that they were old friends. Everyone was dumbfounded. The Yi family Grand Elder walked over. Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless. He cupped his fists and smiled. Greetings, seniors of the Yi family. The Yi family Grand Elder's eyes shone brightly. Lin Gongzi was indeed extraordinary. Your physique seems to have become stronger than before. Lin Xian had the 9-yang divine body, so the Yi family naturally paid attention to him. In their opinion, Lin Xian's cultivation should be weaker than Yi Dao's. Although the 9-yang divine body was extraordinary, Lin Xian didn't have the support of the Emperor clan. Yi Dao was different. Yi Dao had a saint body and the full support of the Yi family. His cultivation speed was terrifying. However, it seemed that this wasn't the case. Not only was Lin Xian not lagging behind, but he was also on par with Yi Dao. The two of them stood there like two young gods of war. This shocked the Yi family Grand Elder. Lin Xian was definitely not simple. He probably had more trump cards than they thought. It was Leaf Dao Denier who had requested to meet with Lin Xian. After much discussion, the Leaf clan agreed. The elders of the Yi clan were very pleased to have an ally like Lin Xian on their side, which would be very beneficial for Leaf Dao Denier. After all, although their Yi family was an imperial clan, they were not the only imperial clan. On the buried Emperor Star, there were quite a few emperor clans. Some of them could even threaten Yi Dao. Therefore, the Yi family also needed allies. Senior, you flatter me, Lin Xian said with a smile. After chatting with the seniors of the Yi clan for a while, they nodded in agreement. Wu Dao, you stay here. Let's go to the Palace of Dao. Given the status of the great elder of the Yi family and the others, it was likely that the Dao sect elders would not be willing to stay with Lin Xian. Thus, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, the Yi clan's elders and the others went to the Dao Palace. As for Leaf Dao Denier, he remained with Lin Xian. Leaf Dao Denier had the Yi family's holy body, and his previous actions had made it clear to everyone that the Yi family was on Lin Xian's side. The surrounding people went crazy. The people from the Dragon Palace did not dare to believe it. Their expressions became incomparably ugly. If it was said that they did not place the Nalan and Dugu clans in their eyes before, the current Yi family was different. This was an imperial clan. An imperial clan was comparable to a group of clans on their side. Lin Xian actually had the qualifications to contend with the Dragon Palace. Damn it! They clenched their teeth so hard that they broke. Lan Ziyu's face was pale. The wine cup in his hand fell to the ground and shattered. How was this possible? She had gone crazy. Every time she was pleased with herself, she thought that she could trample the other party under her feet and make him unable to rise again. But every time, her foot would miss, and the other party would leap up high and slap her directly. In the previous battle, the other party had shocked everyone with a single feat and displayed great strength. She could only look up to him. Now, in terms of background, she thought that with the Dragon Crown Prince, she could look down on the other party. However, the other party actually knew an imperial clan. Now, was she going to look up to him again? She did not want to feel this way again. The Dragon Crown Prince's face was extremely ugly. He had come full of confidence, but in the end, he had been ignored. Damn it, he wanted nothing more than to escape. His face darkened as he turned around and strode towards the Dao Palace. The Wind Dragon Tribe Elder, the Blue Tribe Leader, and the Sky Saber Mansion Master also lowered their heads. The people of the Path Sect were in an uproar. This Lin Xian was not simple. Now it seemed that he indeed had the qualifications to contend with the Dragon Palace. The people of the Divine Union were in high spirits. They were extremely excited every time. That was an imperial clan. This was great. Who would dare to look down on them? The Toad and the Crimson Dragon even came out and mocked the people of the Dragon Palace beside them. A few people of the Dragon Palace had already vomited blood and fainted from anger. Nalanda and Old Master Dugu were also shocked. Lin Gongzi was indeed unfathomable. The elders of the Fire Dragon tribe were also shocked. Previously, they had been somewhat dissatisfied with the actions of the Fire Dragon Princess. After all, this might offend the Dragon Palace and even the Dragon Prince. However, they were now relieved. With the Yi family around, the foundation of the Divine Union had also become stronger. Previously, no one had been optimistic about Lin Xian and the Divine Union. They had thought that the other party was courting death. However, the situation had completely changed now. Everyone was talking about Lin Xian's miraculous abilities. It seemed that they had forgotten about the Dragon Palace. In this atmosphere, half a day passed. The people of the Dragon Palace could not wait to escape. The Dragon Prince closed his eyes and did not say a word. The atmosphere was extremely strange. At this moment, a loud and clear voice rang out from outside. Thunder boomed 9 times and turned into a thunder dragon. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had arrived. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had arrived. Countless people exclaimed. This was also an imperial clan. Furthermore, it was the Dragon Tribe. Countless people were shocked. They had not expected to see 2 imperial clans today. In the Dao Palace, the Dragon Prince opened his eyes, emitting a piercing light. They had waited. Previously, they had been suppressed. He had been waiting. Only the elites of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would be able to contend with the Yi family. Now, they had finally arrived. He strode out in large strides. The Wind Dragon Tribe Leader also took a deep breath and hurriedly followed. The Blue Tribe Leader, the Sky Saber Mansion Master, and the others moved out once again. Greetings, seniors. The Dragon Prince was unusually excited. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty were powerful and their bloodlines were terrifying. Their appearance caused the faces of the surrounding people to turn pale. It seemed like their bloodlines were about to freeze. The Dragon Prince had not come out of seclusion yet? The leading man asked coldly. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty only had the Dragon Prince in their eyes. Although Long Ao was the Dragon Sea Prince, they still did not take him seriously. Long Ao did not dare to be careless. He even looked extremely respectful. Reporting to Third Uncle Long, the Dragon Prince is still in seclusion in the Sacred Origin Tower. Seniors, please. The Dragon Prince carefully invited the group of people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty into the Dao Palace. The people of the Dragon Palace heaved a sigh of relief and gritted their teeth. So what if the Divine Union had the Yi family? The Dragon Palace had the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. The Dragon Prince belonged to the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. Lin Xian and the Yi family were only cooperating and could end at any time. In this way, the Dragon Palace was even more terrifying. Chapter 4886. What was supposed to be a grand event of the Dao sect had now turned into a battle between the Dragon Palace and the Divine Union. It was really surprising. Of course, the crowd did not mind. They were all very excited. One had to know that it was really rare to be able to witness such a battle. All sorts of big shots were emerging. Even the Emperor race had come. No one knew how things would develop next. Everyone was looking forward to it. Following which, more people arrived. Many of them were here to congratulate the Dragon Palace. This allowed the Dragon Palace to turn the tables. The people of the Dragon Palace regained their hope. Some people said that the Dragon Palace had a lot of trump cards. The older, the wiser. At this moment, news came from afar. Taiching Ancient City, Pill Cauldron Sect, sent gifts. Mount Eternal and the Hall of Eternal Life sent gifts. Mount Eternal, Fire God Palace, sent gifts. Ancient Desolation, Gu Family, sent gifts. Mountain Sea Palace, sent gifts. Six Paths Sect, sent gifts. A series of voices rang out, causing countless people to go into an uproar. These were all top-notch great sects, and there were even emperor clans like the Gu clan. Countless people were shocked. The elders of the Dao sect arrived one after another. For example, the Levitation Saint and the others had also arrived. When they heard the news, they were also very happy. It seemed like the Dao sect was getting stronger. The Yi family, Thousand Dragon Dynasty, Gu family, and the three emperor races had come together. This was very rare among the orthodoxies. After all, Yi Wudao was from the Sky sect, and the Ancient Wind sect was from the Earth sect. It was really rare for them to be gathered together. Soon, a group of people walked in. Some of them were covered in flames, some were extremely cold, and there was also a mysterious spatial aura. Pill Cauldron Sect, Zhu Dao Sect, spread your Dao to the four seas. I wish the Divine Union a bright future. I wish Lin Gongzi a bright future. Longevity Hall, Zhu Dao Sect, spread your Dao to the four seas. I wish the Divine Union a bright future. I wish Lin Gongzi a bright future. Fire God Palace, Zhu Dao Sect, spread your Dao to the four seas. I wish the Divine Union a bright future. I wish Lin Gongzi a bright future. Gu Family, Mountain Sea Palace, Six Paths Sect. Congratulations. A loud voice rang out. One of the congratulatory gifts was given to the Dao sect, while the other was given to the Divine Union. The surrounding people were stunned. Heavens, what was going on? Not only were these people here to congratulate the Dao sect, they were also here to support the Divine Union. It was too unbelievable. The people of the Divine Union were stunned. Were they dreaming? Happiness had come too suddenly. The people of Dragon Palace were shocked, and so was the Dragon Crown Prince. These families and sects were not from the Holy Abyss Ancient City. Even the Dragon Palace could not gather them. But now, Lin Xian had done it. Damn it! How did he do it? The Dragon Prince couldn't believe it. After hearing about this, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's people's expressions darkened. Was there anyone who dared to compete with the Dragon Palace? That Lin Xian didn't know the difference between life and death. Previously, they had been dismissive of him, but now, their faces were filled with shock. From the looks of it, this opponent was not simple. The Dao sect's elders also cried out in alarm and began to discuss. This wasn't the first time they had heard of Lin Xian's name. However, many people had given up when they found out that he had the immortal burial physique. Now, it seemed like that wasn't the case. The Levitation Saint's lips curled into a smile. Based on the lineup, the Divine Union was not any weaker than the Dragon Palace. In fact, they might even be stronger. This way, when the Patriarch arrived, he could use this opportunity to suggest that the Patriarch accept Lin Xian as a disciple and allow Lin Xian to enter the core area. The Levitation Saint took a deep breath and began to look forward to it. The atmosphere had reached its peak. Lin Xian's limelight was unparalleled. Even the Dragon Palace was suppressed. The untethered Six Paths and the others who had come to present gifts first went to the Dao Palace, then went to pay their respects to Lin Xian before leaving. At this moment, another voice was heard. Mad God had arrived. The moment this voice was heard, countless people went into an uproar. Mad God, this name was very well known. Recently, he had risen like a comet in the ancient city. First, he had reached the 1000th place on the St. Plains list. Then, he had single-handedly wiped out the Nalan family's 5th Elders faction. Then, he had gone to the Sky Sect and fought with the Sky Sect's elder. He had killed the Sky Sect's elder and left calmly. Every single one of his achievements was shocking. Now, was he also coming? The people of the Divine Union were extremely excited. In their opinion, this was their biggest backer. However, the Crimson Dragon and the others had strange expressions on their faces. They were actually looking forward to it. After all, they knew that Lin Xian was Mad God. This time, it was only a nomological law clone. There was going to be a good show to watch. They knew what was going on and were extremely excited. The faces of the people from the Dragon Palace sank. The Dragon Prince also snorted coldly. Mad God? This time, he should be here to support Lin Xian. So what? No matter how strong he was only ranked 1000th on the Saint Origin list. Their Dragon Prince was ranked 2nd. The difference between the two was too great. Countless people looked ahead. They saw a demonic figure walk over. He was wearing black robes and was surrounded by demonic chi. It was impossible to see his face clearly. The figure came to the square and waved his hand, taking out a gift box. I'm here to congratulate the Path Sect. There were 3 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs in the gift box. The people from the Path Sect smiled and received it. Mad God, please take a seat. However, Mad God said that he still had a gift for the Dragon Palace. Everyone was stunned. They had thought that Mad God would support Lin Xian. Why did he have a gift for the Dragon Palace? The Dragon Prince was also stunned. Then, he laughed heartily. It seemed like Mad God had been frightened by the reputation of the Dragon Prince. Now, he wanted to rely on them? Good. They could use this opportunity to deal a heavy blow to the Divine Union. The Dragon Prince waved his hand when the gift was presented. His eyes were filled with anticipation. The others were also curious. Even the people from the Divine Union were stunned. The demonic figure in front waved his hand and dozens of gift boxes appeared again. On the Dragon Palace's side, Lanziyu, Nangu, and the other powerhouses walked out and brought the gift boxes to the Dao Palace. There were so many things. Was he really intending to rely on them? The Dragon Prince was overjoyed. The people from the Thousand Dragon Court also opened the gift boxes proudly. Lanziyu, Nangu, and the others opened the gift boxes. At that moment, everyone's eyes widened. They wanted to see what kind of rare treasures were in the gift boxes. However, in the next moment, they were stunned. They even let out roars of pain. No. Lanziyu fainted immediately. Nangu's pupils shrank. His hands trembled and the gift boxes fell to the ground. A human head rolled out, still dripping with blood. What was going on? The surrounding people exclaimed. The gift boxes were filled with human heads. The people from the Dao Palace were also stunned. The Dragon Prince's pupils shrank. He recognized one of them at a glance. Wasn't that the head of the Wind Dragon? Damn it! How could this be? The Wind Dragon tribe leader spat out a mouthful of old blood. His face was frighteningly dark. The top genius of their Wind Dragon clan was killed by someone? Damn it! The Blue tribe leader also roared. They had discovered that the head in Lanziyu's gift box was Lanziyu's father. It was no wonder that Lanziyu had fainted. In addition, the Golden Crow tribe and the other experts of the Dragon Palace had all been killed. In an instant, the crowd was in an uproar. Chapter 4887. Bai Susu was shocked. Wasn't this the group of people who attacked them? That's great. They've finally fallen. The people of the Divine Union also started cheering excitedly. These people deserved it. The surrounding people also understood what was going on. This wasn't a gift for the Dragon Palace. It was obviously revenge for the Divine Union. Damn it, you're courting death. The Wind Dragon tribe leader shouted angrily. The Wind Dragon tribe leader was his grandson. How could he not be angry now that he had fallen? He threw out a palm strike that turned into a shocking sword that slashed down from the sky. Boom! That demonic godlike figure was split into two. Then, It turned into demonic chi and dissipated in all directions. At the same time, a voice was heard saying that the gift had been delivered and that he was leaving. Damn it, it was a law clone. The Wind Dragon tribe leader gritted his teeth. Crown Prince, please avenge us. Yes, he had to capture the other party and tear him to pieces. The people of the Blue Tribe were also shouting crazily. Lan Jiyu had already woken up. She ran to the Dragon Crown Prince and said that the Crown Prince had to capture Mad God and not let him off. There was also the Divine Union. Lin Xian, send them all to hell. At this moment, the Dragon Palace was filled with killing intent. The Levitation Saint shouted coldly, "How dare you? Lin Xian was a disciple of the Path sect. You all belong to the same sect. How dare you try to kill a fellow disciple? Are you trying to violate the sect rules?" The other elders also frowned. It was fine if you wanted to capture Mad God. Even if you wanted to deal with Lin Xian, you should have done it secretly. But now, you're saying such words in front of so many experts. You're throwing away the face of your ancestors. Sure enough, one of the elders snorted coldly. You really don't know your place. How dare you? Is this a place where you can come? Leave quickly. Lan Ziyu and the others' blood was boiling and their faces were pale. They also knew that they had said something wrong and lowered their heads. However, they were unwilling to accept this. Long Ao took a deep breath and said, "You all can leave first. We won't let Mad God off." He wasn't stupid. He wouldn't have said that he would attack Lin Xian tomorrow. He would only target Mad God. However, deep down, he was filled with killing intent for the entire Divine Union. He had to annihilate the entire Divine Union. This matter spread out in an instant, and countless people were in an uproar. The entire ancient city was alarmed. After all, there were countless pairs of eyes paying attention to the Tao meeting. Sacred Abyss Tower. Within a palace, the Ocean Abyss God General looked at the news in his hands and was shocked. Mad God had appeared again. It was just a law clone. Divine General Yungu said, "Didn't you tell him to come over?" The Ocean Abyss Divine General shook his head and smiled. Yes, he did. But with his personality, he probably wouldn't have any scruples. I think you've already forgotten about it. The Divine Generals shook their heads and sighed. The Divine General of the Sea Abyss said that it wasn't like that. Since he had stood up for Lin Xian so many times, their relationship was definitely not ordinary. Even if we can't find Mad God, can't we find Lin Xian? Find Lin Xian and ask him to help us pass on the message. When the time comes, Mad God will appear. The other Divine Generals nodded. Divine General Yungu also smiled. Great. Let's go and take a look at the Tao sect meeting. Thinking about it, those fellows should be going as well. The Divine Generals turned into streams of light and left the Sacred Abyss Tower. The Tao sect had come from all directions to congratulate them. Outside, there were war chariots everywhere. It was a spectacular sight. Inside, the atmosphere was extremely strange. The previous scene had really alarmed them. The Dragon Palace's face was gloomy as he gritted his teeth. Some of the Tao elders' eyes were also flickering with killing intent. One had to know that most people in the Tao sect were optimistic about the Dragon Prince. Therefore, these elders also supported the Dragon Palace. Now that the Dragon Palace had been suppressed to such an extent, they were naturally shocked and displeased. Some elders said, "This Mad God is too arrogant. He actually killed our geniuses in the Tao sect meeting and acted in such a manner. He is simply looking down on us. I suggest that we take action immediately and suppress him." That's right. Many elders nodded in agreement. They were all on the side of the Dragon Prince and the Dragon Palace. The people outside were shocked. Someone said, "It's over. It seems like the Divine Union is in danger." There were also people who said that Lin Xian was too young. He didn't know how many elders in the Dragon Palace were secretly supporting him. Now, he was slapping the Dragon Palace in the face and going against these elders. Would he have an easy time in the future? The Wind Dragon Tribe's patriarch frowned. That Mad God is so mysterious. We don't even know where he is. If he doesn't come out, won't we be unable to take revenge? The Dragon Prince sneered. Mad God might not know, but Lin Xian is here. His relationship with Mad God isn't ordinary. The Levitation Saint's face changed when he heard this. However, the eyes of the other elders lit up. The purple-robed elder said, "That's right. Bring Lin Xian over and ask him about his relationship with Mad God. How should he be punished for allowing Mad God to kill his fellow disciples?" "No." The levitation saint shook his head. "Mad God was the one who did it. Why should Lin Xian be implicated? What evidence do you have? Is there a relationship between the two? Besides, so what if there is a relationship? Mad God is an expert of the demon Dao. How could he be controlled by Lin Xian? You are just adding to the crime." Whether or not he was secretly instigated, we will know once we ask. The purple-robed elder snorted. Guards were waiting outside. "Elder, what's the matter?" The purple-robed elder said, "Bring Lin Xian over. I want to interrogate him." Two guards in armor strode down the stairs. Soon, they arrived at the main hall and stared at Lin Xian. "Kid, come with us." Chains of law appeared in their hands, and they were about to shroud Lin Xian. The Divine Union's faces changed instantly. The Crimson Dragon jumped out and said, "What's the meaning of this? You actually dare to make a move on him?" The Toad said, "Don't blame me for being impolite if you dare to make a move on your fellow disciples." The others cried out in alarm. Previously, Lin Xian's limelight had overshadowed the Dragon Princes. Who would have thought that the True Path sect would suppress him now? Someone sneered. "Did you see that? This is the consequence of provoking the Dragon Palace." The elders behind the Dragon Palace were enraged. The people from the Dragon Palace sneered as well. "Let's see how this kid dies." Lan Ziyu had a sinister expression. She wanted to see Lin Xian fall with her own eyes. Lin Xian also frowned. "You want to suppress me?" One of the guards said, "Kid, you better know your place and follow us obediently. Perhaps we can save your face. If you dare to resist, we will suppress you, tie you up with chains, and take you to the Dao Palace. Choose one." The two guards' voices were sharp and merciless. Why were they arresting him? What was the reason? What did Lin Xian do wrong? Bai Susu shouted coldly. She understood that there were already a few elders who were going to take action. She wondered if her father would be able to handle it. It seemed like the situation wasn't good. If he was really suppressed, he would be in danger. Therefore, she couldn't let them take action. Chapter 4888. Lin Xian, stop resisting. This time, the elder has personally called for you. You'd better agree obediently. Otherwise, you'll end up in a miserable state. Everyone's gaze fell on Lin Xian. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as a piercingly cold light appeared in his eyes. He wanted to say something, but before he could, a loud voice came from afar. The Divine General of the Sacred Origin Tower had arrived. The moment these words came out, everyone exclaimed again. The Divine General was here too? The status of these Divine Generals was extremely high. Even the Yi family elder and the Thousand Dragon Court's elder raised their brows. The Sacred Origin Tower was very mysterious. The identities of these Divine Generals were also very unusual. The Dao sect's elders also stood up and quickly welcomed them. At this moment, everyone began to move. Even the two guards did not attack again. Instead, they turned their heads to look. Under the gazes of countless people, two figures walked in. They really were Divine Generals. Many people exclaimed, their eyes turning red. They could only look up to such existences. So it's the Divine General, a rare guest. The Dao sect's elder clenched his fist and smiled. How could we not come to the Dao sect's gathering? This time, we're here to congratulate the Dao sect. The moment these words came out, the Dao sect's elders laughed. Did you see that? Their influence was even more terrifying than before. The other remote antiquity families and peerless sects were envious as well. The Yi family elder and the Thousand Dragon Court's experts also came forward to greet them. In the face of such existences, the two Divine Generals did not dare to be careless. They did not expect that even the Emperor's fellow Taoists would come. The Yi family elder said, "We're here to congratulate the Dao sect. At the same time, we're here to see the Dao sect's top geniuses. The Dao sect's disciple, Lin Xian, has the 9-yang divine body. He's good friends with our Yi family's Wu Dao." "Oh, is that so?" Divine General Hyabis smiled. "What a coincidence. This time, we're also here to look for Lin Xian." The moment these words came out, The surrounding people were stunned. The divine general was also here to look for Lin Xian? They found it unbelievable. Could it be that these two divine generals were also on Lin Xian's side? Thinking of this possibility, they almost fainted. Why? Why was Lin Xian so capable? He had invited so many experts from so many families, and even the emperor clans and divine generals had to stand on his side. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's people were stunned. The Dragon Prince and the Dragon Palace's people were even more dumbfounded. Even Lin Xian was surprised. Why was the immortal general looking for him? Could it be that his identity had been exposed by the other party? While thinking about it, two immortal generals walked towards Lin Xian. Seeing that Lin Xian was still sitting there, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. This guy wouldn't be so arrogant even in front of a divine general, right? However, it was still all right. Finally, Lin Xian stood up in front of everyone. He smiled and said, "Greetings, senior divine generals." Then, he looked at Divine General Haiyuan and said, "Thank you, senior, for your help. It's you." The Ocean Abyss Divine General was also stunned. Then, he smiled and said, "So you are this Lin Xian?" Lin Wudi. That's right, the two knew each other. When Lin Xian went to the Sacred Abyss Tower for the first time, he was stopped outside because he didn't have any Saint Crystals. Back then, he met a Divine General who gave him 10 Divine Crystals. It was this Divine General Haiyuan in front of him. The Ocean Abyss Divine General didn't expect that the other party was such a famous genius when he casually took care of him. Wait, he was stunned. He remembered that it was this little guy who went in. At the same time, Mad God also appeared on the Sacred Abyss list for the first time. He didn't care before, but now he realized that Lin Xian and Mad God entered the Sacred Abyss Tower on the same day. Moreover, they were so close. He frowned slightly and had a bold idea in his mind. Could it be that the young man in front of him was Mad God? When this idea came to his mind, even he was shocked. Then, he shook his head. That was impossible. If it was really as he guessed, it would be a big deal. Beside him, Divine General Yungu saw that his companion was stunned and quietly asked, "Old man, what's wrong?" The Ocean Abyss Divine General came back to his senses and said, "It's nothing." Lin Gongzi was indeed as extraordinary as the rumors said. Lin Xian didn't know if the other party had discovered his secret, so he could only smile and say, "Senior, you're too polite." He didn't know why these people were looking for him, but he guessed that it had something to do with Mad God. Therefore, he didn't expose them. "Young man, very good. I have high hopes for you. If you have any difficulties in the future, just tell me and I'll help you." "Thank you, senior." Lin Xian smiled. The people of the Dragon Palace had a change in expression. Even the Dao sect elders frowned. Beside them, Bai Susu said, "Senior Divine General, there's really something. Someone wants to suppress Lin Xian." "Not good." The Dao sect elders' eyelids twitched. Divine General Haiyuan frowned. What was going on? Who was so bold? Who dared to suppress a genius in the Dao sect? Toad jumped out and said, "It was really strange that it was one of their own. An order from one of the Dao sect elders was to kill a genius." Hearing Toad's words, the surrounding people's expressions changed. Damn, this Toad really dared to say that. Divine General Haiyuan frowned and looked behind him. Was there such a thing? The Feather Saint smiled. "I think it's a misunderstanding, right, Elder Purple Robe?" He looked at the other party. Elder Purple Robe's face turned black. How could he refute? Was he supposed to say that it wasn't a misunderstanding? Everyone would probably think that he was suppressing the younger generation. Therefore, he could only smile and say, "Misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding. You two, leave." The two guards felt their scalps go numb, and they quickly left. It seemed that no one dared to touch Lin Xian in the open. Damn it, the Dragon Prince and the others gritted their teeth. Killing intent appeared in the eyes of the 10,000 Dragon Court people. This person seemed dangerous, and they had to think of a way to get rid of him. They definitely couldn't allow a potential threat to grow. For example, Long Guang from before. Although he wasn't the Crown Prince, he had already threatened the Dragon Prince. Wasn't he still killed by them? They were also capable of sending Lin Xian to hell without anyone noticing. Today, Lin Xian and the divine union that he was in could be said to be in the limelight, stirring up a storm. Even the Tao elders didn't dare to act rashly. In an instant, everyone was talking about how the divine union would become even more famous and more experts would join. At this moment, the Tao sect's patriarch finally arrived. Everyone looked over. The Tao sect disciples all stood up and bowed respectfully. Greetings, patriarch. The Tao sect's patriarch was a peak great sage. His aura was unparalleled. His appearance was like the appearance of a god, suppressing everything. Lin Xian felt a chill down his spine even though he was so far away. This was the peak existence of a great sage. His aura was like the roar of 10,000 dragons. Too powerful. Chapter 48-89. Greetings, Lord of the Fantasy World. These were the experts of the remote antiquity families and great sections. The patriarchs also bowed. The fantasy world ancestor had changed everything. She smiled and said, "Everyone, there's no need to be so courteous. Thank you for participating in the ceremony. 10 years have been like a day. Which geniuses have appeared in the Path sect? Let's wait and see." The fantasy world ancestor sat down. Then, the elders of the Path sect walked out and began to host the ceremony. The purpose of this grand ceremony was to test which young genius disciples in the past 10 years could stand out and catch the eye of the old ancestor. It was divided into 3 major battlefields: the Star List, the Jade List, and the Shin List. Countless people were looking forward to it. One had to know that those who could make it to the Jade List were the top existences in the same realm. Those who did not make it to the Jade List would also have an opportunity to challenge others today. In short, as long as you had the strength, you could stand out. This was a very rare opportunity. On Lin Xian's side, many Divine Union disciples took action. Even Fu Hongya, the Crimson Dragon, Bai Susu, and the others took action. It was even more so on the Dragon Palace's side. In an instant, various battles broke out one after another. It was very exciting and breathtaking. The experts of the remote antiquity families and great sects were shocked. It was no wonder there were so many experts in the Path sect. Toad and the Crimson Dragon were stronger than before. Bai Susu was the same. It seemed like she had been nurtured by her father during this period. On the Divine Union side, their overall strength had increased greatly, which shocked countless people. In the past, other than the Dragon Palace, there were other powerful forces that were also very scary. However, they seemed to have been surpassed by the Divine Union now. Everyone exclaimed. The Dragon Palace was not weak either. Although they had been suppressed by Lin Xian previously, they still had a strong foundation. At this moment, the experts of the Dragon Palace were all mobilized. There were many experts on the Star List and Shin List. There was even an incredible expert, and that was Lan Ziyu. Lan Ziyu had become the Dragon Prince's cultivation partner, so he had more than 10 times more resources than before. Her strength had also improved by leaps and bounds. Now, she was in the top 10 of the Jade List. The Blue Tribe Patriarch looked at this scene and was very satisfied. Lan Ziyu seemed to have regained his confidence after defeating the experts. Lin Xian looked at the other party and glanced at him indifferently before lowering his head to drink his tea. That's right, that's all. This event lasted for many days. During this period, many powerhouses stood out. Of course, the ones that attracted the most attention were 3 people. The first was naturally the Dragon Prince. His strength and talent could be said to be very strong. He was definitely one of the best below the Dragon Prince. Therefore, when he made his move, it shocked everyone. Even the elders kept nodding their heads. Other than that, there were the 2nd and 3rd ranked on the Shin ranking. The first on the Profound ranking, the Dragon Prince, had not appeared. The 2nd and 3rd on the Profound ranking were only slightly weaker than the Dragon Prince. Their strength was naturally shocking. These 2 people were Li Ruolin, who was ranked 2nd on the Profound ranking, and Jiao Wuqing, who was ranked 3rd on the Profound ranking. If one were to ask who was most likely to be accepted as the ancestor's disciple, it would most likely be one of these 3 people. When all the matches were over, everyone was looking forward to it. Especially Li Ruolin, Jiao Wuqing, and Long Ao. The 3 of them were nervous. They didn't know who would be chosen by the old ancestor this time. The elders also seemed to be asking for Fantasy World Ancestors' opinion. The patriarch's eyes flickered as he looked at the three of them. Stars flickered in his eyes. The three of them were incomparably nervous, as if all their secrets had been seen through in an instant. What do you think? Fantasy World Ancestor didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at the people around him. An elder said, I think Li Rulin is a very good person. There were also people who said that Jia Wuqing's merciless Tao was very terrifying and that his future was limitless. At this moment, Elder Zhang in purple said, Let me see. Although the two of them are powerful, their future can't compare to Long Ao's. Although Long Hao wasn't the emperor's son, he was the top genius of the dragon clan. He also had the ancient, desolate body. What a rare physique. Look at Yi Wudao of the Yi family. One could imagine how terrifying Long Ao's future talent was. I guess the first in the entire Dao is the Dragon Prince, and the second is definitely Long Ao. Therefore, why don't you take Long Ao as your disciple and nurture him carefully? In the future, he will definitely be famous in the 9 heavens. There might even be a genius who can be crowned as a king in our Dao. What Ziyi said was very true. There were a few elders around him who kept nodding. Obviously, they all supported Long Ao. Hearing this, Long Ao's face was filled with pride. However, Li Rulin and Jia Wuqing's expressions changed. Fantasy World Ancestor's eyes flickered as he looked at Long Ao. At this moment, the Ascension Saint stood up. Senior Brother Z, you're wrong. Long Ao is strong, but I don't agree with you saying that he's the second top genius of the Dao. I recommend someone to the Patriarch. This person's strength and talent are unparalleled. Oh, who is it? The Patriarch was interested. Ze and the others' expressions changed. Was the Ascension Saint going to recommend that kid? The disciple I want to recommend is called Lin Xian. He hasn't been in the Dao sect for long, but the strength and talent he displayed are unparalleled. Is that so? Fantasy World Old Ancestor was astonished. Patriarch, please wait a moment. The Ascension Saint turned and walked out of the hall. He said loudly, Lin Xian, the Patriarch wants to see you. When these words were spoken, countless people were in an uproar. No way. Could it be that Lin Xian also had the chance to become the Patriarch's disciple? Some people's eyes turned red. On the Dragon Palace's side, Nangu, Lanzayu, and the others gritted their teeth. Why could he do it? The three people in the square, Li Rulin and Wu Qing, were also shocked. The Dragon Crown Prince's face was gloomy, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. That's great. Lin Xian, my father recommended you. You have to perform well. In the hall, Bai Susu was very excited. The others also took a deep breath. Lin Xian nodded and walked out, heading forward. Junior Lin Xian greets the Patriarch and all the elders. Long Ao snorted coldly. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at the hall in front. There was an elder sitting there, like a god of the sky. In the next moment, he was met with a gaze. What kind of gaze was that? It was ancient and filled with the vicissitudes of life. Lin Xian felt as if he was struck by lightning. He felt that all his secrets had been seen through by the other party. What a terrifying gaze. Lin Xian was shocked. He quickly retracted his thoughts. At the same time, a golden light gathered in his eyes and he activated the power in his body. He was shocked. It was too terrifying. The other party was actually an illusion expert, and he should be a top expert. After all, the other party was a peak great sage. You are Lin Xian? Fantasy World Ancestor's voice floated out. It was as if a god was asking. Hearing this, everyone became nervous. Lin Xian also took a deep breath. He knew that it was time to test him. Chapter 4890. That's right, I am. Lin Xian nodded. That's right. Fantasy World Old Ancestor smiled. Hearing this, everyone exclaimed. The expressions of the people from Dragon Palace changed. Could it be that the Old Ancestor favored him? Old Ancestor, this Lin Xian seems to be a good person at the moment, but his future is really worrying. It can be said that he has no future at all. What do you mean? Fantasy World Old Ancestor was shocked. The purple-clothed elder said. The Old Ancestor didn't know that this person was indeed very strong, but he was from the immortal tomb. In history, There were two people from the immortal tomb who were extremely talented, but in the end, they fell and couldn't become great sages. They couldn't even become sage kings. It was heaven-defying for him to reach this step, but it was impossible for him to take another step forward. He was actually from the immortal tomb. Countless people were shocked. This was the first time some people heard this news. The people from Dragon Palace sneered. How could a person without a future compare to the Dragon Prince? The Feather Saint Lord also frowned. This was indeed Lin Xian's weakness. He couldn't refute it at all. Although he had thought of countless countermeasures, the people from the immortal tomb seemed to have no solution. Was what he said true? Fantasy World Old Ancestor looked at the Feather Saint Lord. The Feather Saint Lord had no choice but to nod. Fantasy World Old Ancestor looked at Lin Xian and shook his head. What a pity. It's over. This kid has no hope. Countless people sighed. The Dragon Prince sneered and said in a low voice, Kid, you're still far from being able to fight me. At this moment, Fantasy World Old Ancestor looked at Long Ao and said, From now on, you will follow me to cultivate. Thank you, Old Ancestor. Long Ao bowed respectfully. He was really too excited. He could finally enter the core area. Currently, his cultivation speed was several times faster than others, even 2 or 3 times faster than the top geniuses. Because he had the support of resources from many worlds, if he could become a core disciple, then his cultivation speed would increase. At that time, no one else would be his match. Beside him, Li Rulin and Wu Qing sighed. It seemed like they had no hope. At this moment, an elder spoke. Although the two of them couldn't become the old ancestor's disciples, they could be accepted by the elder. They would also have a chance to enter the core area. This made the two of them happy. The Levitation Saint also wanted to make use of this opportunity to take in Lin Xian as a disciple. This way, Lin Xian would at least be able to enter the core region. They wouldn't be too far behind the Dragon Prince in terms of resources. However, the purple-clothed elder said, Immortal Ascension Elder, I advise you not to waste this spot. He is someone from the immortal tomb and definitely won't be allowed to enter the core area. That's right, he has no future and is not worthy of our nurturing. Recruiting him as a disciple is a waste of resources in the Tao. The Feather Saint let out a heavy sigh. Lin Xian remained expressionless. So what if he didn't become a core disciple? He had relied on his own efforts to get to where he was now. In his opinion, there was no difference whether he entered or not. If the other party could obtain a huge amount of resources, so could he. As long as he collected more world cores and entered the sword world to cultivate, his speed would not be slower than anyone else's. Fantasy World Ancestor looked at Lin Xian. When he saw Lin Xian, he was expressionless and shocked. To be honest, this young man really surprised him. When he first looked at him, he realized that he was different from the others. When the Dragon Prince and the others met his gaze, they were unable to resist at all. She instantly saw through the 3 people in front of her. However, this Lin Xian was different. There was a mysterious aura on his body that was resisting him. Although the other party's strength was temporarily unable to contend against him, there was still a trace of mystery to him. He asked, Are you not convinced? Lin Xian said. He didn't dare. He just felt that these elders were too conservative. Conservative? Hearing that, the purple-clothed elder became angry. Brat, are you doubting us? In his eyes, there was a trace of a cold light. Lin Xian said, If you think it's a question, then so be it. What qualifications do you have to question me? Just you? Young man, aren't you a bit too weak? The purple-clothed elder snorted. Lin Xian raised his head, his eyes filled with determination. You keep saying that I am from the immortal tomb and have no future. What is your basis? The purple-clothed elder sneered. What a joke. Didn't I say it? There were 2 people in history who didn't become a great sage, so it's impossible for you. Lin Xian snorted coldly. I think you're the laughable one. What did you say? The purple-clothed elder was furious. Fantasy World Patriarch waved his hand to stop him. He looked at Lin Xian again. Lin Xian said, Just because 2 people couldn't do it, you're doubting me? A martial artist's cultivation was originally going against the heavens. Don't you even have the spirit to explore and challenge? So what if it was unprecedented? What others couldn't do didn't mean that he couldn't do it. The light in Lin Xian's eyes became colder and colder. If you want to think like you, how did the first great emperor appear? What was the first time a human cultivated? Who was it? The first time they could use laws. These people who created heaven and earth, no one could pursue them before. Could it be that they didn't continue to move forward? Without these people opening up the path, what right do you have to cultivate now? Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, one word at a time. The purple-clothed elder's expression turned ugly. How dare he? Lin Xian retracted his gaze and said indifferently, if you think I'm wrong, you can correct me. But you came up and used your status as an elder to suppress everything. Isn't that a bit too much of a bully? As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding people started to discuss. Indeed, Lin Xian was right. What a sharp-tongued brat. Those who created the martial Tao were all heaven-defying existences. They were all supreme figures. How could you be compared to them? Whether I'm worthy of being compared to them or not is not something you can comment on. A cold light appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. Even if there is no path for me, I will walk a path that belongs to me. As soon as he finished speaking, thunder rumbled between heaven and earth. It seemed to suppress Lin Xian, but also seemed to respond to Lin Xian. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This young man was incredible. Could it be that he wanted to open up a path for himself? How difficult was that? One had to know that even if they followed the path opened up by countless ancestors, it was already as difficult as ascending to the heavens, let alone exploring a new martial Tao on their own. Divine General Hai Yuan's eyes flashed. He was now more and more certain of Lin Xian's identity. The Yi family was also shocked. This kid was incredible. If he could break the curse of the people in the immortal tomb, his future would be limitless. He might even become a great emperor. The people of the Thousand Dragon Court had ugly expressions. Even if such a person was cursed, they wouldn't allow him to live, because it was too dangerous. If they gave him a chance, he might be able to turn things around. They had to find a way to get rid of him as soon as possible. What a joke. The Dragon Crown Prince shouted coldly. Kid, you're too naive. Those paths aren't for an ant like you. Hurry up and leave. Don't embarrass yourself here. Chapter 4891. In everyone's eyes, Lin Xian seemed to have reached a dead end. However, Lin Xian smiled and turned to stare at the Dragon Prince. Are you doubting me? Do you dare to fight? After Long Ao heard this, he also laughed. You want to challenge me with just you? Fine. You killed my incarnation last time. It's time to settle this grudge. I'm not afraid of you. Fortunately, it was your incarnation last time. Otherwise, you would have gone to hell long ago. Lin Xian's eyes emitted an extremely sharp killing intent. The great Tao laws on their bodies constantly intertwined and collided. It was as if two divine dragons were fighting between heaven and earth. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. Were these two top geniuses going to fight? It was too shocking. They were all excited because regardless of appearance or Lin Xian, they were both top geniuses. The battle between the two would definitely be a fierce battle. Nonsense, all of you, back down. An elder snorted coldly. Now that the two top geniuses were fighting, wouldn't it be throwing them to the finish line? The purple-clothed elder smiled. It didn't matter. This event was originally to select geniuses, and now both of them were known as geniuses. Then, who was stronger and who was weaker would be known after a battle. The other experts nodded in agreement. The experts of the nest of 10,000 dragons also spoke. We also want to see what a top battle is like. What do you think? Fantasy World Ancestor looked at the Levitation Saint. The Levitation Saint took a deep breath and followed the Ancestor's decision. He didn't stop him because he felt that Lin Xian should be able to contend against Long Ao. Even if he couldn't win, he wouldn't lose too badly. This way, he could show his strength. Perhaps the Ancestor would change his mind. Fantasy World Ancestor retracted his gaze. He understood and looked at the two people in front of him. Since the two of you are not convinced, then let's have a battle. However, this battle was a spar and no one was allowed to kill. Yes, Lin Xian cupped his fists and stood facing each other. Zhao Wuqing and Li Ruolin retreated, and the surrounding people also retreated, giving them enough distance. A fierce battle was about to begin. Long Ao snorted. Brat, you want to fight with me? You really don't know what's good for you. Although I can't kill you now, I will ruthlessly trample you under my feet. I will show you the difference between the two of us. There was a trace of coldness in his eyes. If he defeated Lin Xian at this time, it would mean that Dragon Palace had completely trampled him under their feet. From now on, the other party would never be able to make a comeback. Lin Xian laughed. You're overconfident. You'll be the one in despair. What's more, when I fought against the Dragon Palace, my target was the Dragon Prince from the beginning, not you. Hearing this, Long Ao's face darkened. Was he being ignored? The surrounding people were also in an uproar. Lin Xian's target was actually the Dragon Prince. This was too inconceivable. Long Ao snorted coldly. Kid, don't talk big. Is the Dragon Prince someone you can challenge? Today, I will trample you under my feet. He shouted coldly, and the power in his body exploded. Terrifying dragon chi surrounded him, and a huge dragon shadow that was tens of thousands of feet tall appeared. Terrifying auras were rarely seen in the 9 heavens. So terrifying, countless people were alarmed. This Long Ao was really too incredible. As expected of a prince who was evaluated to be second only to a dragon. Just this aura and bloodline alone were enough to sweep through everything. Li Ruolin and Wu Qing's pupils shrank. Although Long Ao did not compete for the Wen Xian ranking, with his strength, even if he went to the Xian ranking, he could kill his way into the top 10. This was too unbelievable. Lin Xian coldly snorted as a terrifying flame appeared on his body. It was like a sun that had descended upon the human world. A terrible aura swept in all directions. The crowd exclaimed again. Previously, they thought that Lin Xian was too arrogant, but when they felt the aura coming from Lin Xian's body, they were shocked. They all changed their minds. The other party did have the right to be arrogant. This aura was definitely not weaker than Long Ao. Sure enough, a sun and a true dragon clashed in the sky, causing countless cracks to appear in the sky. How terrifying! Those young disciples retreated, and those of the older generation narrowed their eyes. Just the clash of auras alone was enough to kill many people in an instant. If the two of them were to really fight, how earth-shattering would it be? Long Ao coldly snorted, his expression cold. The other party was indeed not weak. Although he was unwilling to admit it, this was the truth. Go to hell. He waved his hand at the dragon. The giant dragon in the sky waved its claws and tore the void, descending towards the bottom. Its target was Lin Xian. How terrifying! It was an absolute art the moment it appeared. In the face of this terrifying attack, Lin Xian looked calm. He formed a seal with his palm, the man-ruler seal. When he struck out, he was like a deity in the vast human world. The two terrifying forces collided, and then the light cracked. A terrifying black hole appeared, devouring the surroundings frantically. They were evenly matched. Great. The people of the Divine Union cheered. What dragon crown prince? He was just The toad and the others sneered. Just wait. Soon the crown prince in your eyes will be trampled under your feet. The people of the Dragon Palace gritted their teeth. Damn it. You will be the one to lose. Your leader Lin Xian will be defeated by our crown prince. Just wait and see. The Divine Union is finished. Both sides gnashed their teeth, not giving way to each other. The atmosphere was extremely intense. After blocking his opponent's dragon wave, Lin Xian laughed. Is this all you've got? How disappointing. As he spoke, he struck out with his palm, the great rock seal. A great rock appeared between heaven and earth, carrying an aura that could tear everything apart. Long Ao's face was cold. He waved his fist again, and the giant dragon roared. The terrifying dragon fist struck out, and at the same time, the giant dragon wings on the back of the giant dragon kept rising and falling. It was like a heavenly blade slashing towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian did not dodge at all. The man-ruler seal, the great rock seal, and the treasure mountain seal were constantly used to contend with the opponent. It was as if two worlds were fighting, and the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. Then, Lin Xian punched out. The six-path fist. This punch was indomitable and could destroy everything. Not good. Seeing this, Long Ao's pupils shrank. He felt a fatal crisis. The other party could actually threaten him. Unforgivable. Dragon roar. His roar shook heaven and earth. The terrifying dragon roar swept out in all directions. At this moment, everyone's blood was boiling. The weaker ones were bleeding from their 7 orifices, and some of them even had cracks on their bodies. Not good. This was too terrifying. The levitation saint waved his hands, and countless petals danced between heaven and earth, forming a boundary that covered the front. At the same time, the Yi family and the Thousand Dragon Court also made their move. The 3 top experts worked together to seal the entire square to prevent the power from spreading. How was the situation at the front? Many people widened their eyes. Even though they were so far away, they were still injured. Would Lin Xian, who was the first to bear the brunt of the impact, be affected as well? The terrifying dragon roar was like seawater, drowning Lin Xian, and his figure disappeared before everyone's eyes. Chapter 4892. That kid is definitely dead. Seeing this, the people of the Dragon Palace burst into laughter. The people of the Divine Union were also nervous. This was not an ordinary sound. It was the roar of a dragon. It contained supreme dragon blood. Could Lin Xian block it? They were worried. But soon, they all laughed because Lin Xian broke the heaven and earth with a single punch. Then, he walked out in a domineering manner. He stomped his foot and used the celestial walk to kill like a god. Do you think I'm afraid of you in close combat? Long Ao snorted. So what if the other party had the 9 young divine body? He also had the ancient desolate body. Boom. The two collided in close combat. Each blow was like 100,000 mountains bombarding between heaven and earth. Thousands of cracks appeared. The people below were shocked. Indeed, their physiques were evenly matched. Yi Wudao looked at the scene and narrowed his eyes. The Crimson Dragon also gritted his teeth. Damn it, this guy's physique is indeed extraordinary. Even he could feel a trace of threat from it. In the Dragon Tribe, there were very few people who could suppress Long Ao in terms of bloodline, except for the Dragon Prince. Useless kid, I'll split your 9 young divine body today. Long Ao roared to the sky and soared into the sky. The giant dragon phantom wings on his back drooped down again like a peerless divine sword. Lin Xian sneered and stretched out his right arm. His right arm turned into a peerless divine sword. The sword rule swept across heaven and earth. This sword could split the sky. Boom. The collision of the divine sword and divine sword made everyone's scalp tingle again. However, there seemed to be a change this time. The peerless divine sword formed by the giant dragon phantom was shattered by Lin Xian's attack and a big crack appeared. Then, it broke in half from the middle. Long Ao retreated. His arm was split open and dragon blood dripped from the sky. Long Ao was injured. Countless people exclaimed. This was impossible. The people of the Dragon Palace were shocked. Even the people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty were shocked. This kid's physique was actually so strong? Even the ancient desolate body was no match for the other party? Long Ao's expression changed drastically. He felt that he could not even use the strength of his entire arm. The strength of the other party's physique was really beyond his expectations. Damn it. Dragon energy slash. He spat out a terrifying dragon chi, which turned into a peerless radiance and slashed out. This was no ordinary dragon-containing chi. It was something that had been nurtured with dragon blood in her body. It was extremely terrifying. It was a peerless killing move. The power of this attack was not inferior to the attack of a great sage tool. Boom. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He didn't expect the other party to have such an ultimate move. He used the skywalk step and quickly dodged. However, this attack still managed to envelop him. With a kacha sound, he coughed out blood and flew outwards, golden holy blood flowing out from his body. His body was shattered, and a large crack appeared. Even his internal organs could be seen. Oh no, Lin Xian was also injured. Countless people cried out in alarm once again. The people of the Divine Union were nervous, but the people of the Dragon Palace were clenching their fists. Great, Crown Prince, kill him. Long Ao sneered. He was injured in one arm. But the other party was more seriously injured than him. His body was almost split in half. At the thought of this, he sneered. His body swayed, and he quickly charged forward. Now that Lin Xian was injured, he wanted to kill the other party directly. At the very least, he wanted the other party to be seriously injured and bedridden for a few hundred years. Seeing this, everyone's scalp went numb. The people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty laughed. The victor seemed to have been decided. Indeed, a dragon was a dragon, and a worm was a worm. It was impossible to surpass them. The purple-robed elders sneered as well. In the eyes of these elders, this battle was already over. The levitation saint was also surprised. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be defeated so quickly. Could there really be a difference? On the other side, the Yi family's divine general and the other family leaders all frowned. It seemed like the crown prince was superior. Was this really all his strength? Divine General Hai Yuan's eyes flickered. He didn't think so. He thought highly of Lin Xian. Kid, what are you going to use to fight me? Long Ao had already arrived before Lin Xian, his eyes filled with killing intent. My bloodline, my identity, and my background, are they something you can compare to? I can crush you with one hand. You're lucky to have so many people protecting you. Otherwise, you'd be dead by now. But even so, I'll severely injure you and cripple you. His eyes were filled with extremely cold killing intent. At the same time, his face was also pale. He didn't use the dragon chi slash. He had only cultivated 2 dragon chi slashes in his body. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he wouldn't use it. This one was already enough to injure him. His opponent didn't need to waste the last one. He was prepared to crush his opponent with his own hands. He raised his palm and released a terrifying aura before slamming it down mercilessly. Go to hell. Even a great sage would be torn to shreds by this attack. It's over. Many old family leaders shook their heads and sighed. Everyone thought that this battle was over. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with a sharp light. To be honest, the dragon chi slash did threaten him and hurt him. But so what? The moment he was injured, he used the immortality art to heal his injuries. In addition, his divine body was also a dazzling physique in the starry sky. This injury was nothing. Seeing the other party rushing in front of him, Lin Xian sneered. He waved his 2 arms and turned them into 2 peerless divine swords as he charged forward. Slash. Lin Xian was like a peerless war god. His terrifying sword chi was invincible. It pierced through his opponent's palm in an instant. How was this possible? Why was this sword chi so sharp? Long Ao was stunned. This had completely surpassed the power of the 9 Suns' body. How could he know that apart from the 9 Suns' divine body, Lin Xian also had the great dragon sword soul in his body? When this sword technique was used, it could tear the sky and split the earth. He was careless. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. The speed of this sword was beyond his imagination. In an instant, Lin Xian's arms enveloped him. Boom, boom. His arms were like divine swords as they pierced into the other party's body, completely shattering his internal organs. Then, Lin Xian's arms shook, and the sword chi exploded. Long Ao's body was directly torn into pieces under this attack. Heavens, how was this possible? What did I just see? The surrounding spectators were stunned. The patriarchs and clansmen stood up one after another. The Blue Clan's Wind Dragon Patriarch was scared silly as he sat there in a daze. The people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty suddenly stood up and shouted angrily. This was impossible. Dragon slaying. Long Ao was torn into pieces, and the huge dragon phantom in the sky was also torn into pieces. Dragon blood roared between heaven and earth, sprinkling down from heaven and earth. This scene was too spectacular. Ha ha ha, well done. The Crimson Dragon roared, and the Toad also roared. Who said that we were inferior to dragons? He actually did it. Bai Susu and the others were shocked. Elder Hai Yuan's mouth curled into a smile. Little guy, you really didn't disappoint me. He felt more and more that Lin Xian was that person. You want to kill me? You can't do it. Lin Xian stood above the dragon blood that filled the sky like a demon god. A cold voice sounded. Chapter 4893. Between heaven and earth, dragon blood sprinkled down, piercing through the 9 heavens. Long Ao roared crazily. His soul became sinister and distorted. Damn it, you dare to hurt me. I want you to die. I want you to go to hell and never rise again. The killing intent on his body continued to erupt. At the same time, dragon blood condensed and restored his body. Kill. Long Ao's body had recovered, but there were some cracks that could not be completely healed. This shocked him, but he couldn't care less. Right now, he had to kill the other party, to relieve the hatred in her heart. Buzz. At this moment, Long Ao's body had transformed into a 100-feet-long sea dragon. His blue scales illuminated the world. With a raise of his hand, he could summon clouds and rain. He was the son of the Dragon Sea Lord, and his bloodline was powerful. Previously, he had transformed into his human form. At this moment, he was completely enraged and transformed into his true form. Kill, kill, kill. The dragon claws waved, and the dragon tail swept between heaven and earth. Long Hai's power erupted. A terrifying aura swept across heaven and earth. At the same time, he struck out with an apocalyptic attack. Dragon Chi Slash. It spat out a terrifying attack. Previously, it was this attack that injured Lin Xian and even split open Lin Xian's body. This time, it came out again. Facing the storm-like attacks, Lin Xian also took a deep breath. He didn't dodge at all. He was completely fighting with force. At the same time, he condensed a Taiji diagram to face the Dragon Chi Slash. He wrapped his arms around it, and the Taiji diagram rotated in his hands, using softness to overcome hardness. The Dragon Chi Slash landed on the Taiji diagram. However, it was completely enveloped by the rotating power and was unable to tear apart the Taiji diagram. In the end, it dissipated into the Taiji diagram. Even the Dragon Chi Slash couldn't hurt Lin Xian. Countless people were shocked. Taiji Slash. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the Taiji diagram rotated and drew a sharp bolt of lightning, directly slashing forward. Puff. Long Ao roared. Its tail was split open and fell down. Dragon blood once again dyed the 9 heavens red. Damn it. He was really angry. His huge body transformed into human form again, and then he attacked again. Dragon Rain 9 heavens. Wrath of the Sea God. Dragon Kill. Long Ao began to use the dragon race's great divine ability. And Earth. This was no ordinary rainwater. Every drop contained the laws of the Tao of the dragon. Even a great sage would be killed in body and soul if he were caught in the dragon rain. The wrath of the sea god caused the surrounding sea to fill with water. His opponent had truly transformed into the dragon sea god. The dragon slay was even more terrifying. His dragon claw carried the aura of a fiend god. It spun rapidly and tore apart the void, aiming for Lin Xian's heart and head. Each of the 3 consummate arts was enough to strike fear into the hearts of great sages, and the elders and clan leaders alike. Lin Xian took a deep breath in the face of these 3 terrifying ultimate techniques. Sword come. Behind him, the phantom of a sword dragon appeared and roared towards the sky. The dragon scales on his body rose from the ground and made a clanging sound in the sky. They quickly combined to form a dragon sword. Lin Xian grabbed it. He soared into the air, fighting above the 9 heavens. Zhanlong. The divine sword formed from dragon scales descended from the sky. Everywhere it passed, everything turned into ashes. This sword was really too powerful. The 3 consummate arts of the dragon race were turned into ashes under this sword. Before the sword arrived, many cracks had already appeared on Long Ao's body. They were like a spider web. Damn it. He wanted to resist, but his heart was filled with fear and he subconsciously retreated. He was actually scared off by the other party. It was really too embarrassing. However, facing this sword, he was finally terrified. Saving his life was more important. He quickly retreated, but it was still too late. This sword enveloped him. No. His body split apart once again and was split into 2. Moreover, this sword even carried a biting cold aura that could destroy everything. Was he going to die? He didn't dare to believe it. What kind of sword technique was this? The pupils of an expert from the 10,000 Dragon Court constricted as he shouted coldly. A great sage instantly attacked and shattered this sword energy. It turned into dragon scales and disappeared between heaven and earth. You actually dare to kill. This expert from the 10,000 Dragon Court stood in the air and stared coldly at Lin Xian. The sword dragon illusion behind Lin Xian disappeared. He laughed. You think too much. There are so many experts here. Even the old ancestor is here. What kind of assassin can kill him? Even if you don't attack, this sword will disappear. Lin Xian was right. It was too difficult to kill the other party here. Furthermore, he didn't intend to do so. Defeating the other party in this battle was already a ruthless slap to the other party's face. How could the Dragon Palace compete with the Divine Union in the future? Long Ao, you keep saying that you will trample me under your feet. Have you done it? The facts have proven that you are just a clown. In the future, you won't have any right to be arrogant in front of me. Disappear from my sight. Otherwise, you will suffer a terrible fate. As he spoke, Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a terrifying light. Long Ao's blood boiled and his soul kept shaking. Not good. The expert from the 10,000 Dragon Court shouted angrily. How dare you destroy his Dao heart? A cold, murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Lin Xian sneered. Is he worse than me? If he can't even accept defeat, what right does he have to take another step forward? You. Young man, don't be too arrogant. The expert from the 10,000 Dragon Court looked gloomy. The purple dress elder and the others were also gnashing their teeth. The others were also in an uproar. The outcome of this battle was really unexpected. No one had expected that the mighty Dragon Prince would be defeated by Lin Xian. Moreover, he had been defeated so miserably. How could this be? The people from the Dragon Palace were crying. The godlike figure in their eyes had actually been defeated. Moreover, he had been defeated by his opponent. Lan Ziyu also knelt on the ground, her body trembling. She didn't even have the strength to stand up now. Her biggest reliance had been the Dragon Prince. However, the facts had proven that the Dragon Prince couldn't defeat Lin Xian. Was there any chance for her to take revenge in the future? The people from the Divine Union were in high spirits. This was great. Boss Lin was mighty. Lin Gongzi was #1 in the world. He was indeed the legendary invincible Lin. Voices rang out one after another. The people from the Yi family were shocked. The eyes of the Yi family elders were also shining. Besides having the 9 young divine body, Lin Xian also had the great dragon sword soul. In the future, this young man would definitely compete with the emperor's son. They were very confident in their Yi Wudao. Yi Wudao had a sacred body and cultivated the emperor's scripture. He would definitely be able to compete with the disciples in the future. In their opinion, Lin Xian might be a little lacking. However, they had changed their minds. Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul, which seemed to be able to make up for the lack of the emperor's scripture. This guy was so powerful. Didn't you say that he had participated in the Holy Gulf list? Why hadn't I seen his name before? Big Brother Yun was shocked. Divine General Hai Yuan's eyes shone sharply. This could only mean one thing. He had not used his real name. He had used his title. It seemed like it was him. Divine General Hai Yuan thought to himself. He was now 100% sure of it. Lin Xian was that person. Chapter 4894. The outcome of this battle shocked everyone. At the same time, many people were discussing it. Would the fantasy world patriarch change his mind? Previously, the patriarch had chosen Long Ao as his disciple. Now that Long Ao had been defeated, would the patriarch still accept him as a disciple according to the previous agreement? In an instant, everyone looked up. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court also frowned. The purple-clothed elder and the others were even more nervous. They were talking about the patriarch. The fantasy world patriarch's eyes flickered, and an extremely terrifying aura erupted from his eyes. He looked down at Lin Xian and Long Ao and thought for a while before speaking coldly. He first looked at Lin Xian and said, "Young man, you're not bad. You have to walk your own path in the future." Then, he looked at Long Ao. Failure was not scary. What was scary was having one's heart broken. After the banquet, follow me to the core area to cultivate. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect the fantasy world patriarch to not change his mind. Could it be that the person in the immortal graveyard was really a curse that couldn't be broken? Long Ao was also shocked. He originally thought that he had no hope, but now it seemed that there was still hope. He hurriedly said respectfully, "Yes, patriarch. I definitely won't lose again." He turned to look at Lin Xian. "Losing to you this time was an accident. Just you wait. The next time I meet you, I will personally take revenge." With that, he walked forward. What else did the levitation saint want to say? However, the patriarch waved his hand to stop him. He could only sigh and hope that Lin Xian could accept this result. Lin Wan also turned and left. On the way back, he received countless questioning gazes. However, his expression remained calm. So what if he didn't enter the core area? To be honest, he really didn't want to enter because the fantasy world patriarch's gaze was too terrifying. If he stayed by the other party's side, the other party might discover his secrets. That would be troublesome. After returning, the people from the Divine Union were also nervous. They were afraid that Lin Xian wouldn't be able to hold on. Lin Xian smiled and said, "Don't look at me like that. I'm fine." Bai Susu said, "Kid, I know you're unhappy, but we'll understand." Lin Xian shook his head and smiled. He looked around and said, "Most of you are geniuses from large clans. You have enjoyed all kinds of golden spoils since birth. You will be respected and receive all kinds of resources. You can even reach out and those natural treasures will come to you. But I'm different from you. I rose to power in the dusty lands, and everything along the way was exchanged with my life. I have fought all the way and never cowered. Along the way, countless people have looked down on me, but I've won again and again. I've walked from the dust to the present. I believe that I can go on." So what if the person in the immortal burial ground was a curse? I don't want to walk the path of immortals. I want to walk my own path. Lin Xian's voice was firm and resolute. The people from the Divine Union were shocked. They hadn't expected Lin Xian to have such an experience. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Their families all had some worlds as subsidiary resources. The people in those worlds were just ants in their eyes. It was basically impossible for him to grow to the same height as them, not to mention standing above them and leading them. However, Lin Xian had walked out of such a place. How many hardships and setbacks had he gone through? Just thinking about it made their scalps go numb. At the same time, they also heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian had gone through too much, so this setback wouldn't be a problem. "Big brother Lin, we believe in you." "Yes, young master will lead us all the way." The people from the Divine Union clenched their fists. Lin Xian also smiled. "Good. You believe in me, and I believe in you. I will lead you to the top of the world." Lin Xian turned around and looked at Xiang Jiutian. "I won't lose." Then, he looked at the people beside him and smiled. "I hope that the disciples of the Divine Union will never lose." His voice became louder and louder, piercing through the 9 heavens and spreading across the land. At that moment, the souls of the surrounding sages trembled and they all turned to look. What kind of bold and visionary words were these? Yi Wudao smiled. It seemed like his old friend wasn't affected at all. The 2 war gods also nodded in satisfaction. The levitation saint also heaved a sigh of relief. On the side of the dragon palace, they frowned. The people from the 1000 Dragon Dynasty had killing intent in their eyes. This guy didn't shrink back after such a setback. Instead, he became even stronger. This person had to be eliminated quickly. Advance courageously and never admit defeat. The old ancestor whispered, his eyes flickering. Long Ao, who was beside him, was nervous. He said, "Old ancestor, please believe in me. I won't lose again. I will defeat him." The fantasy world ancestor waved his sleeves and left with Long Ao. The banquet also ended. Long Ao came to the core area and felt the terrifying power inside. He took a deep breath. The fantasy world ancestor brought him to a pagoda and said, "This place is filled with resources. There are endless resources and power here. You can cultivate here. Thank you, old ancestor. Don't worry, I won't let you down." Long Ao was extremely excited. The fantasy world ancestor stood with his hands behind his back. "Let's hope so. Your talent is unparalleled. but you are too arrogant and need to be tempered. Previously, when the Dragon Prince came to find me, he mentioned you and told me to take you as my disciple. Now that I've observed you, you are indeed not bad. Cultivate well and don't disappoint me and the Dragon Prince." So it was the Dragon Prince's suggestion. Long Ao clenched his fists. If not for the Dragon Prince, the disciple this time would have been Lin Xian. He took a deep breath. Although he had also become the Crown Prince, he couldn't even compare to the Dragon Prince's finger. This gap had once made him feel despair, but later on, he swore that one day, he would catch up to the Dragon Prince and even make this gap smaller and smaller. And that Lin Xian, just you wait. With the resources of the core area, my cultivation speed will be faster than before. When the time comes, you will definitely die. He would definitely get his revenge for what had happened today. On the other side, the guests all left. What happened at the banquet would spread all over the world. The people from the Thousand Dragon Dynasty had cold expressions. Although there were twists and turns along the way, the final result was still satisfactory. Long Ao still became the old ancestor's disciple. It seemed like they had to go back to discuss and think of a way to deal with that Lin Xian. At the thought of this, they also left. The people of the Divine Union also returned to the spiritual abode to cultivate hard. The result of this battle was that more and more people wanted to join the Divine Union. The strength that Lin Xian had displayed was too strong. He had already surpassed the Dragon Prince. Lin Xian's last sentence of never giving up and pressing forward courageously gave them endless hope. These people were eager to join. For a moment, Bai Susu and the others were all smiling. The Ocean Abyss Divine General and the other two found Lin Xian. Chapter 4895. Divine General Hai Yuan stared at Lin Xian nonstop, which shocked Lin Xian. Could it be that this Divine General had discovered his secret? He asked, "Seniors, why are you looking for me?" Divine General Yun Gu said, "We're actually here to look for Mad God. However, we can't see him. Your relationship with Mad God shouldn't be ordinary, right? Tell Mad God to hurry to the Sacred Abyss Tower. We need his help with something." "Oh, what is it?" Lin Xian was surprised. Divine General Yun Gu said, "You won't know even if I tell you. Kid, you'll know when you reach Mad God's level." Divine General Hai Yuan patted Lin Xian's shoulder. "I have high hopes for you. Maybe you'll know soon." He revealed a meaningful smile. Lin Xian felt more and more that they must have discovered his identity. However, they didn't say anything, so it was obvious that they were on his side to help him. Therefore, he nodded. "I understand what you two seniors mean. I'll send a message now. He should be there in a few days." The two divine generals left Lin Xian and returned to the divine abode to organize some things. This time, more than 200 people joined. Lin Xian met these people and encouraged them to cultivate well. He left the rest to Bai Susu, Hongya, and the Crimson Dragon. He consolidated his cultivation and adjusted his state to its peak. Then, he went to the Sacred Abyss Tower and covered his body with demonic qi. Lin Xian once again turned into the demonic Mad God and arrived at the Sacred Abyss Tower. He appeared again. Countless people exclaimed, "Look, it's Mad God. He's here again." They heard that he killed many Dragon Palace experts at the Dao Sect's Sacred Assembly. He even provoked Dragon Palace, which made them vomit blood. They didn't expect him to appear so soon. He's not afraid of being hunted down by Dragon Palace experts. Dragon Palace can't compare to him. Someone laughed. Someone shook their head. Don't forget that Dragon Palace is backed by the Thousand Dragon Court. They'll definitely send experts to hunt him down. While everyone was discussing amongst themselves, Lin Xian had already entered the Sacred Abyss Tower. He came to a large hall in the Sacred Gulf Tower, where several figures were waiting. Lin Xian had seen two of them before. They were Divine General Sea Abyss and Divine General Brother Yun. The other people were also thinking about the immortal generals. When they saw the demonic figure behind them, they all raised the corners of their mouths into smiles. "You're finally here." Lin Xian cupped his fists and looked around. Then, he walked over. He looked a little arrogant, but he didn't care. The Mad God had to be arrogant. Otherwise, he wouldn't live up to his name. The other immortal generals had also heard of his deeds, so they didn't care about his attitude. It was fine as long as the other party was powerful. Big Brother Yun, the divine general is gone. Come here. Speaking of mad god, you're here. Divine General Ocean Abyss smiled as well. Lin Xian said, I received news that you are all looking for me. I don't know why. It's a good thing. Divine General Sea Abyss said that we're going to a very mysterious place, so we need your help. Lin Xian was shocked. What place? If the immortal generals can't do it, I'm afraid I can't do anything. Indeed, although Lin Xian was powerful, these immortal generals were even more terrifying. Divine General Brother Yun said that it's not like that. This time, we're exploring ancient ruins. It's extremely mysterious. Some places have cultivation restrictions. Therefore, we can't do anything about it. We can only ask experts like you for help. Lin Xian was able to enter the Saint Origin Board, which meant that he was at most an early-stage great sage. Therefore, this level of cultivation could be put to good use in certain situations. And these immortal generals' cultivation had long surpassed the early-stage great sage. Therefore, they couldn't do anything about it. Lin Xian nodded. He understood. He wondered what kind of secret realm it was that could interest these immortal generals. It's definitely not an ordinary ruin. Divine General Brother Yun smiled. Do you know the Heavenly Court? Lin Xian was shocked. Of course he knew. Could this ruin be related to the Heavenly Court? That's right. Kid, you guessed right. It's indeed related to the Heavenly Court. It's a ruin of the Heavenly Court, and it was only discovered recently. Therefore, the news hasn't spread too far. We have to hurry. Lin Xian was shocked. Is it really a ruin of the Heavenly Court? I wonder if Black Mountain will appear? In the previous Heavenly Court ruin, Black Mountain obtained the Sky Lantern, and Lin Xian obtained the Heaven-Swallowing Jar. Later, he found out that it was only half of the Heaven-Swallowing Jar. He still lacked a lid. He wondered if he could find the lid this time. If he really found it, it would be the complete Heaven-Swallowing Jar. It would be an extreme Dao. Even if he couldn't find it, it would be great if he could get some of the Heavenly Court's ultimate techniques. Therefore, Lin Xian was very interested. He said that since this was the case, there was no time to lose. Let's begin. Divine General Brother Yun smiled. There's no hurry. There are still some people. Lin Xian waited. Indeed, it didn't take long for more people to arrive. The first to arrive were two people. One was dressed in green, the other in purple. Both of them were extremely beautiful. They had swords on their backs. According to the introduction, Lin Xian knew that these two beautiful women were called Qing Hong and Zi Hong. These two weren't ordinary people. They were very famous. They were known as the Purple and Green Twin Swords. Their names were also in the top 1,000 on the Saint Origin ranking. Their ranking was much higher than his. After these two, another person came. It was a man with snow-white hair. It danced in the wind, and its eyes were actually white, making it look extremely mysterious. Eye technique? Lin Xian was shocked. Golden light flickered in his eyes. The purple and green twin swords also had serious expressions. They knew this person. In fact, he was ranked higher than them. Of course, they were confident that they could defeat him with the twin swords combination. This person was called Yinling. His ultimate move was execution of words. It was very terrifying. Now that everyone was here, Divine General Hai Yuan smiled. The few of them looked at Lin Xian. Qing Hong said, You must be mad god. How strong are you? Do you want to experience it? Lin Xian looked at her and smiled. Qing Hong stepped out and sword chi exploded from her body. She couldn't ask for more. Sister, just be quiet for a while. Zi Hong walked over and said. Then, she looked at Lin Xian. Mad god, I'm sorry. My sister's temper is like this. No worries. Lin Xian nodded. Beside him, Yin Yinling smiled. Qing Hong turned around and her eyes shone. What are you laughing at? Are you doubting my strength? Yin Ling shook her head. She had heard of the angry fairy's name long ago. Now that she met her today, she really lived up to her name. Qing Hong was furious. Whoever dares to talk nonsense outside, I'll kill him. Lin Xian also shook his head. This girl was really crazy. While Lin Xian was joking, Another group of people walked out of the hall. Then, a cold voice sounded. Seems like all of you are here. Let's meet. You're a little late. Divine General Yungu said. Divine General Chung also snorted coldly. Since everyone was here, let's begin. Start what? Everyone was stunned. Divine General Chen, who was the second to enter, said, there are too many people. Let's eliminate one. Qinghong, Zihong, and the others' expressions changed when they heard this. The Shadow Dragon and the other expert with a terrifying aura revealed sinister grins. They all stared at Lin Xian, but soon, they couldn't laugh anymore. Because Lin Xian was already chatting with the Ice Mountain Goddess. The Ice Mountain Goddess even revealed a beautiful smile at Lin Xian. How was that possible? Aning was going crazy. The other party's title of Iceberg was not fake. She didn't care about any top genius, so why would she smile at this kid in front of him? In addition, Qing Hong, Yin Ling, and the others were also stunned. Even the three new top geniuses were surprised. They all stared at Lin Xian. Is this guy an expert of the Demon Dao? Who is he? Wind Snow also smiled. Let's introduce him. As soon as he finished speaking, the three figures beside him stood out. One of them had a surging aura and was full of heroism. He also had a pair of wings on his back. He said loudly, Peng Wanli of the Tian Peng clan. Next to him was a person with a cold face. His voice also had a trace of piercing coldness, like a knife. His name was He Jiuxiao. The last person was a little strange. He sat on the back of a goldfish with his chin in his hand and was dozing off. When he heard Wind Snow's words, he opened his sleepy eyes and said, Xiaozhuang. After saying that, he closed his eyes and went back to sleep. After the introduction of the three people, Qing Hong and the other two on the opposite side also stood out and said their names. Shadow then walked out. Another man with a strong aura also walked out. His name was Zhu Lai. He was an expert of the Torch Dragon clan. The Ice Mountain Goddess looked around and said coldly, Xueqi. That's right. This woman was Xueqi, the woman Lin Xian met in the Thousand Mountain Cave. Later, with Lin Xian's help, she obtained the 9 divine body. Later, after Lin Xian left, Xueqi also went out to train, and there was no news of her. They didn't expect that she would also come here and enter the Holy Gulf Tower. The others thought in their hearts and looked at each other. They found that these people were all top experts. Moreover, they had a special characteristic. They were all ranked in the top 1,000 of the Saint Origin ranking. However, they were not ranked above 800. The highest ranking was the sleeping Xiao Zhuang, who was currently ranked 810. As for the last one, they all stared at Lin Xian. Shadow said coldly, Kid, tell us your name. Lin Xian glanced at him and said coldly, Mad God. So, he was Mad God. Many people were surprised by this name. It was like thunder to their ears. However, it was their first time seeing him. Zhu Lai snorted coldly. So, you are Mad God. You are only ranked in the top 1,000. How dare you be so presumptuous in front of me? Although Lin Xian had reached the top 1,000 in 3 attempts, these people were all ranked in the top 1,000. Thus, when they faced Lin Xian, they were all looking down on him. Lin Xian didn't care. Firstly, he didn't participate in the challenges many times. Secondly, the top 1,000 wasn't his limit. He didn't use the heaven-devouring jar or the great dragon sword spirit. Otherwise, he would have to use his name first. Lin Xian frowned. He found that other than an Ing and Zhu Lai, there was another person who was hostile to him. There was even killing intent. Although it was well hidden, Lin Xian's eye technique was amazing. He found out in an instant. He turned his head and his frown deepened. He found that the person who wanted to kill him was a divine general. It was Divine General Qian Chan. Mad God, come over first. Divine General Hai Yuan said. Lin Xian smiled at Xueqi. They would talk later. Then, he turned and left. He had already recognized the other party. Xueqi also recognized him. Their physiques were simply too miraculous. One had the 9 Yang divine body, and the other had the 9 Yin divine body. They were the opposite of heaven and earth. As long as the two of them met, they would be able to recognize each other immediately. Chapter 4897. Lin Xian returned to Immortal General Hai Yuan's side. Immortal General Hai Yuan transmitted his voice to Lin Xian. Be careful. Qian Qian supports the Dragon Prince. You slapped the Dragon Palace's face before, so he must be unhappy with you. Lin Xian understood. No wonder the other party was releasing killing intent towards him. So they were the Dragon Prince's men. Immortal General Qian Chan said again. There were too many people. Remove one. As soon as he said that, everyone's face changed. Remove who? No one was willing. After all, they were going to the ruins of the Heavenly Court. The Heavenly Court had a long history. Not only in the ancient times, it was said that it had appeared in the ancient times. And it was said that the Heavenly Court had been destroyed more than once, but it was rebuilt. The most recent one was the collapse 50,000 years ago. Now that they found the ruins of the Heavenly Court again, what kind of opportunities and treasures would there be? They were looking forward to it. No one was willing to leave. Ning stood out and said, Isn't it simple? According to the ranking, whoever is last will leave. After saying that, he stared at Lin Xian with a cold smile. I agree. Immortal General Qian Chan nodded. Because Mad God's ranking was last, which meant that he had to be eliminated. This way, it would be a small revenge. They would deal with him in the future. However, Immortal General Hai Yuan frowned. Lin Xian snorted. What a joke. Could the ranking prove everything? Why not? Zhu Lai also stood out and said, It was very difficult to increase one's ranking on the Saint Origin board. Would you hide your strength if you had it? Did I hide my strength? You'll know when you try. Lin Xian looked at him and sneered. Peng Wanli and the others were watching and didn't say anything. They naturally knew the grudge between the two sides. Mad God slapped the Dragon Palace's face, which meant that he didn't give the Dragon Prince any face. Immortal General Qian Chun, as the Dragon Prince's man, how could he not take revenge? And they were Kuan Peng Zi's men, so they naturally hoped that the two sides would fight. It would be best if both sides suffered. At this moment, Immortal General Xuefeng smiled. Since both sides are unhappy, why don't we have a competition? Whoever loses will be eliminated. What a good idea. Shadow also took a step forward. Snort. If you're unhappy, come out and fight. I'll let you know the difference between us. And Ing was very confident. His ranking was 950th. They had 50 more people than the other party. However, every increase in rank was extremely difficult. With a difference of 50 ranks, the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. He could easily crush the other party. The others knew this, so they all looked at Lin Xian. Would the other party dare to accept the challenge? Many people guessed that Lin Xian would not accept the challenge. After all, the gap between them was too big. However, Lin Xian only laughed. Do you want to die? I'll fulfill your wish. This fellow is really arrogant. Qing Hong was shocked, and then she snorted coldly. He was too reckless. On the Snow Wind Divine General's side, Peng Wanli and the others all frowned. Could it be that Mad God had another trump card? Zhu Lai sneered coldly, while Xueqi shook her head. He wouldn't lose. Damn it, Shadow was furious. He didn't know what was so good about Mad God. Why did the Ice Mountain goddess Xueqi seem like a completely different person when she saw him? He didn't know that the two of them were already Dao companions. If he knew, he would probably be angered to death. Shadow sneered. I'll make you regret this. He took a step forward, and his aura erupted, sweeping through the heavens and earth. The surrounding people all exclaimed. He was almost at the Great Saint realm. Qian Qian also nodded. Very good. He was already one step into the Great Saint realm. He should be much stronger than before. Peng Wanli and the others were also shocked. They didn't expect Shadow to be hiding his cultivation. This Mad God was really unlucky. Crane Zhuxiao sneered, saying that Xiao Zhuang had been dozing off, as if he wasn't interested in the upcoming battle. Shadow sneered. Ever since my cultivation improved, I've been hiding it. Today, I'll let you feel the power of a half-step great saint. Dragon blood appeared on his body, suppressing the 9 heavens. The surrounding people all felt a suppression from his bloodline. Under the countless gazes, Shadow waved his hand, and a black shadow appeared. It turned into a shadow dragon and flew over quickly. Peng Wanli and the others took a deep breath. It seemed that Shadow was arrogant, but he wasn't careless at all. Facing Mad God, he used a secret technique right off the bat. If this shadow was restricted, even a great saint would be sealed and wouldn't be able to fight back. The power of a seal? Su Qin's eyes flashed, then he snorted coldly. His eyes flashed with a biting cold light. Let's see if the power of a seal is stronger, or my power of suppression is more terrifying. Reincarnation steel. A pair of godlike eyes appeared, and the steel's gaze intertwined. With the power of reincarnation, it suppressed forward. Boom, boom. Lin Xian didn't attack the shadow. Instead, he attacked Shadow directly. At the same time, he didn't dodge, allowing the shadow to envelop him. With a boom, he was forced back 2 steps, and countless seals appeared on his body. Great, I'm so excited. Shadow sneered. The others were also shocked. It seemed that the gap was really that big. The difference of 50 ranks was enough to make Mad God unable to fight back. Divine General Qian Chan sneered. Mad God was just... But in the next moment, his pupils constricted. Oh no, he wanted to warn them, but it was too late. The reincarnation steel fell, enveloping Shadow. Shadow was shocked. Damn it, what is this? Block it. He waved his hand, and it turned into 2 daggers that slashed through everything. However, this was a soul-level attack and couldn't be dodged at all. In an instant, he was suppressed. He felt his soul shake as if it was about to split open. His entire body suddenly knelt on the ground. With a crack, his soul knelt on the ground. What's going on? Is Shadow injured too? What kind of eye technique was that just now? Mad God actually has such a terrifying eye technique? Why didn't I know before? One after another, voices sounded. They all knew the legend of Mad God. He was incomparably arrogant. His demonic chi was enough to tear the 9 heavens apart. In their opinion, he was an expert in close combat. But now, Mad God used an eye technique. No wonder Shadow couldn't dodge. No one expected it. Roar. Shadow roared, and the aura of the Tao of Dragon appeared. His soul escaped, but his face had become incomparably pale. In that instant, his soul was injured. Damn it, Shadow's expression was cold. He mobilized the power of laws to repair it. At the same time, he raised his head and stared ahead. I'm going to make you die without a burial place. A group of shadow daggers appeared in his hand, and he charged forward. In an instant, he was behind Lin Xian. Die. 2 daggers stabbed towards the head and the heart. Chapter 4898. Oh no! Zihong exclaimed. Qinghong also snorted coldly. Mad God was too careless. Although his soul had injured the other party, his body was also sealed. In this way, he could not move at all and could only be slaughtered. Everything was over. An Ing snorted coldly, and 2 daggers landed on Lin Xian's body. A sonorous sound rang out, but the smile on his face disappeared. His shadow daggers were directly bounced off, and one of them even cracked. How was that possible? His opponent's physique was too terrifying. At this moment, Lin Xian, who was in front of him, turned around and sneered. Your seal isn't that great either. As he spoke, an extremely terrifying sword chi rushed out of his body and directly shattered the seal. The other party's seal was indeed very powerful and could seal a supreme sage, but the dragon sword soul in Lin Xian's body was enough to destroy everything. A mere seal was nothing to be afraid of. How was that possible? How did he do it? An Ing was so frightened that he took a step back. However, in the next moment, a black palm grabbed at his head. Damn it! He waved his dagger again to block. The shadow dagger struck the black demonic hand with a deafening sound, and sparks danced. However, the black hand did not stop at all and directly slapped down. An Ing teleported. An Ing roared angrily. He quickly displayed a peerless movement skill and narrowly dodged the attack. However, his chi and blood were still surging. Damn it! Next, his entire body merged into the darkness. He spread his wings and his speed was extremely fast. He was erratic. As a member of the Shadow Dragon clan, speed and movement techniques were his forte. He relied on this speed and movement technique to launch a destructive attack on Lin Xian. In an instant, thousands of thorns attacked Lin Xian, causing the void around Lin Xian to shatter. He should be injured now. However, a large hand reached out and directly enveloped the entire world, making it impossible for an Ing to escape. With a boom, he was sent flying by a punch. Damn it! Endless dragon patterns appeared on An Ying's body. He turned into a ferocious dragon. Die! His power increased once again. Lin Xian sneered. Your dragon blood is really trash. Let me show you what real dragon blood is. Lin Xian took a step forward, and countless phantoms appeared behind him. Finally, it condensed into a figure. It was a black dragon, and there was an extremely terrifying demonic aura around it. He was like a demon god. The dragon tail swung out like a demonic god's sword, piercing through the air. How could this be? You also have the aura of the Tao of Dragons. You're from the Dragon Clan? An Ing went completely mad. He was sent flying and his body was torn into pieces. A head roared on the ground. Ant, you don't deserve to know. Lin Xian stepped on the other party's head with one foot. With a light push, countless cracks appeared on the other party's head. Stop! Divine General Qian Chen shouted coldly, his face becoming extremely gloomy. Lin Xian sent his opponent flying with a kick, then stood with his hands behind his back. Now you know who the trash is, right? If anyone is going to be eliminated, it should be him. So powerful. Qing Hong was dumbfounded. This was completely different from what she had imagined. On the other side, Peng Wanli and the others also took a deep breath. It seemed that this mad god had indeed hidden his strength. Xueqi's lips curled into a smile. How could her husband be weak? He had the 9-yang divine body. An Ing deserved it. Lin Xian looked at An Ing and sneered. You've already lost and been eliminated. Hurry up and get lost. You don't have the right to stand here. Damn it. An Ing gritted his teeth. He was about to vomit blood, but he had said it himself. He couldn't go back on his words now. He looked at Divine General Qian Shun, hoping that Divine General Qian Shun would let him go. Divine General Qian Chen's face was cold. Useless trash. Go back and cultivate in seclusion. This is too embarrassing. He originally wanted to suppress Mad God, and even suppress him to take revenge for the Dragon Palace. But now, he was slapped in the face by the other party. An Ing didn't dare to say anything and ran away. In an instant, there were only 2 people left on Qian Chen's side. Is this enough? Divine General Hai Yuan smiled. Qian Chen was so arrogant. Now, there was one less person. Damn it. Divine General Qian Chen's face was cold. But at this moment, Xueqi stood up and said, Not yet. What's going on? The surrounding people were stunned. They looked at each other. Is this Ice Beauty going to fight? Xueqi smiled and said, I'm leaving Divine General Qian Chen's team. I'm willing to join Divine General Hai Yuan's team. Is this okay? What? Everyone was stunned. Divine General Qian Chen's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. She wants to leave him and join the other team? Hai Yuan was stunned. Then, he smiled. Sure, we welcome her. Very good. Xueqi walked forward and came to Mad God's side. She smiled beautifully. Divine General Hai Yuan and Xueqi were stunned. It seemed that her joining the team was related to Mad God. They must have known each other for a long time and had an unusual relationship. Peng Wanli was shocked. Who was this Mad God? How could he gain the favor of the Ice Fairy? Divine General Feng Shui narrowed his eyes. Even Xiao Zhuang, who had been dozing off, raised his head. A mysterious light appeared in his eyes. He stared at Lin Xian and Xueqi with dreamy light. He was shocked. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up. 9 yin and 9 yang have reappeared in the world? Interesting. It's getting more and more interesting. This time, I can have a good dream. After saying that, he closed his eyes with a smile, as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. Hai Yuan's team was very strong. Only one person was left on Qian Chen's team. His face was so dark that it was terrifying. Damn it. I must find another person. He reached out with his hand. It seemed that he wanted to summon another person. Lin Xian looked at this scene and smiled. Divine General, didn't you say that there would be one more person? Why do you still need to find another? Qian Shen roared. That was before. Now, I'm changing my mind. Don't you agree? Are you challenging me? Lin Xian laughed coldly. He didn't answer. However, there was a trace of disdain in his eyes. Soon, a figure walked over from afar. He came to Qian Shen's side and said coldly, Ice Fairy, you betrayed us? How dare you betray us? Aren't you afraid of going to hell? Xueqi snorted. She raised her hand and took off the ice bracelet on her wrist. Then, she threw it over. She said, Our agreement is cancelled. I'll return the divine ice bracelet to you. Damn it. Qian Shen gritted his teeth and put away the divine ice bracelet. It was an ice-type treasure. It was a great sage artifact. He had spent this price to invite the other party. He didn't expect that the other party would go back on their word. Lin Xian said, Don't worry. I'll give you a better one in the future. The person who had come walked over and said, It's not that simple. Let's have a duel. If you lose, you'll disappear. If you win, we won't pursue the matter. Chapter 4899. The newcomer's body seemed to be made of metal, and it emanated an ice-cold radiance. He also had a terrifying cold aura. Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He had a feeling that this person was not ordinary. This aura was very similar to his death law. If you want to fight, I will. He walked out. However, Xueqi said, Don't worry, I can still deal with it. She walked out, looked ahead and said coldly, Flying Corpse King, you are no match for me. The person in front of her was a corpse, and he had cultivated himself. Moreover, he had regained his intelligence. He had reached the peak of the Saint King realm, and he was very terrifying. He was called the Flying Corpse King. The Flying Corpse King sneered coldly. That was in the past. Now, you are no match for me. He took a step forward, and in the next moment, a terrifying aura of death erupted from his body, and it spread out in all directions. Everyone felt that the god of death was calling them. Qing Hong's pupils contracted, and she exclaimed, Great saint! He has broken through. Even Divine General Hai Yuan was taken aback. The Flying Corpse King was already very terrifying, and his ranking was even higher than in Ying's. He was ranked 930. Now that he had broken through and become a great saint, his ranking would probably rise even higher. He wondered if the Ice Mountain Goddess would be able to withstand it. Xueqi walked out and said, Fine, I will let you see my true power. She waved her hand, and a terrifying black ice spread out in all directions. The 9-in divine body was displayed. She thrust out her jade-like hand, and it seemed to have turned into a world of ice, which pressed down from the sky. What a terrifying aura! What kind of ice is this? The people in the surroundings were all surprised. Divine General Wind Snow squinted her eyes. She was also an expert of the ice element, but even she was shocked. The ice used by this person should be one of the legendary ice. She did not expect that this Ice Mountain Goddess's body would be so mysterious. The Flying Corpse King also furrowed his brows. Was he hiding his strength? No wonder. However, so what? Let's have a fight. With a wave of his hand, he stretched out his palm without any aura or temperature. It was like the hand of the god of death, and it attacked. However, when it got close to Xueqi, countless ice formed on it, and it was frozen in midair. This was truly unbelievable. Peng Wanli sighed in admiration. The Flying Corpse King had an extremely strong aura of death. Anyone who was touched by him would have their life taken away and turned into white bones. But now, the other party couldn't even get close to him. How was he supposed to fight? However, Yin Ling shook his head and said that it was not certain. Other than the extremely terrifying aura of death, the Flying Corpse King's physique was also incomparably strong. I heard that he seemed to have refined his body into a peerless weapon. Just like the heaven-devouring great emperor in the past, he had refined himself. The heaven-devouring great sovereign had refined himself into the heaven-devouring jar. This was something that only existed in myths and legends. Everyone knew this, but they didn't expect that there would be someone who would follow suit. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He could feel that his opponent's physique was indeed very strong. It was as if the Grim Reaper had been resurrected. Crack, crack. The black palm that was sealed in ice gave off a terrifying light. Following this, the ice broke apart, and the palm slammed over once again. The surrounding world of ice and frost was completely shattered. The Flying Corpse King said, "Iceberg, if this is all you have, I'm afraid you're no match for me." As he spoke, boundless aura of death appeared on his body. It turned into the law of death and engulfed the surroundings. It condensed and formed a hell. He seemed like a god of hell that had walked out of hell. His ice-cold gaze also turned gray. It carried an ice-cold aura. It was the eye of death. With a roar, the Flying Corpse King quickly charged forward, turning into a bolt of black lightning. In an instant, it rushed to the front. As he waved his arm, it seemed as if he had turned into a peerless saint artifact. As he waved his arm, the whole world started shattering. Oh no, that iceberg is in danger. When Zihong saw this scene, she cried out in alarm. Everyone thought that Xueqi would retreat. After all, she wasn't a match for such a powerful physique. However, what surprised them was that Xueqi didn't retreat at all. She faced the lightning like Grim Reaper. She also slapped out with her palm. Boom, boom. Her palm turned into an ice-cold light that kept contending against the opponent's physique. When the two of them collided, it was as if 100,000 claps of lightning had struck. Soon after, the two of them retreated. What's going on? He unexpectedly blocked it. Divine General Qian Cheng didn't dare to believe this. It should be known that the Flying Corpse King had refined his physique into a weapon, and its might wasn't any weaker than a Great Saint artifact. It was even more terrifying than a Great Saint artifact because it was a weapon with intelligence. This meant that Xueqi wouldn't be able to contend against it unless she also took out a Great Saint artifact. But now, his opponent was able to contend against a Great Saint artifact with just his physique. What kind of physique was this? Was this the legendary physique in the starry sky, or was it the ancient physique? He didn't dare to believe this. It seemed like everyone had underestimated him. Lin Xian curled the corners of his mouth into a smile. The 9 divine physique wasn't any weaker than the 9 yang divine physique. It was a powerful physique that could contend against a saint physique. If his opponent was a great emperor, and he refined himself into a weapon, no one would be able to contend against him. However, his opponent was just a great saint, and he wanted to contend against a divine physique by refining himself into a weapon? What a joke. Just wait and see. These people will soon be stupefied. The Flying Corpse King's expression became ice-cold. Although he was just a corpse, he already had a soul. Although he wasn't afraid of pain, his opponent's ice-cold aura still made his soul shiver. Even his soul was about to be frozen. Moreover, he discovered that his physique's movements were becoming slower and slower. The ice-cold aura gathered in his body, and once it reached a certain level, it would explode out and freeze him, turning him into an ice sculpture. He wouldn't be able to escape anymore. Roar. He looked up at the sky and let out a demonic roar. At this moment, the black aura in his body turned into black flames, which burned unceasingly and burned away the ice-cold aura. His hands seemed to have turned into the death god's sword, and they carried the aura of wind and lightning as they slashed forward. Xueqi didn't fear him, and as she waved her jade-like hands, the whole world turned into ice and snow. The terrifying ice-cold aura engulfed her opponent. Countless ice-cold swords appeared in the world, and each of them was as big as a palm. They covered the sky and the earth, and they seemed capable of penetrating everything. Both sides exchanged 100 moves, 200 moves, 300 moves. At this moment, Xueqi became braver as she fought, while the Flying Corpse King's movements became slower and slower. In the end, he became like a snail. If his opponent hadn't refined him into a weapon, he would have already been killed. When they exchanged 400 moves, the ice-cold aura on his body exploded out, and he turned into an ice sculpture. They were surrounded by boundless mountains, and there was a black shadow in the distance. It was the Grand Clarity Ancient City. It was the first time for many people to come to Taiching Ancient City because St. Yuan Ancient City was already very vast. This Grand Clarity Ancient City was also extraordinary. It was incomparably vast, like a vast world. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Back again? This was equivalent to revisiting old places. He was very familiar with some of the places. The group of people flew into the distance and quickly entered Taiching Ancient City. At this moment, the ancient city was even more lively than before. Apart from them, there were people from other places and even from other worlds. It seemed like the news had spread. Divine General Wind Snow frowned. Divine General Hai Yuan also said, "Then we have to speed up. After all, our foundation isn't here. So even if it's an away battle, it's better to collect information first. Leave this matter to us." Divine General Wind Snow smiled. Then, she looked at a person behind her. Xiao Zhuang, stop sleeping. The figure sitting on the goldfish opened his eyes and said, "I know. Give me a day. At dawn the next day, you will get the information you want." Divine General Wind Snow believed in Xiao Zhuang's ability very much. Lin Xian and the others were surprised. He felt a mysterious aura from the other party. It should be related to soul power. Moreover, the other party had been sleeping. Could it be related to dreams? Thinking of this, Lin Xian remembered that he had met a person before, the Dream Eater Wolf. This guy had been very low-key. God knows how many dreams he had devoured. The group of people walked forward and prepared to settle down first. Boom boom. At this moment, a loud sound came from afar. Everyone turned their heads and saw war chariots flying across the sky one after another, each carrying an extremely terrifying aura. The chariots were also powerhouses. Those demonic beasts were running between heaven and earth. They looked in Lin Xian's direction and shouted coldly, "Get out of the way! Don't block the way." Then, each of them slapped out with their palms. At the same time, the demonic beasts pulling the chariots roared at the sky and shot out terrifying lightning. Huh! Divine General Hai Yuan and the others turned their heads, and their faces instantly darkened. Someone dared to attack them? Divine General Wind Snow snorted and flicked his finger. Suddenly, a world of ice and snow appeared in front of him. Its power was even more terrifying than Xueqi's. It couldn't be helped. Xueqi was still a Saint King. Divine General Wind Snow was in the late stage of the Supreme Saint realm. The gap between the two of them was too big. If Xueqi could reach the late stage of the Supreme Saint realm, her ice power would definitely be more terrifying than the Divine General's ice power. The divine powers that filled the sky were frozen. The powerhouse in front of them also narrowed his eyes. He didn't have time to escape. His whole body, demonic beasts, and chariots were all frozen. Not only the first chariot, but it also spread in all directions. Countless people in Taiching Ancient City were shocked and looked up. Heavens! That was the chariot of the Myriad Transformation sect. Someone actually dared to attack it directly. In fact, it was frozen in an instant. Who were these people? Which family and sect did they belong to? When the fifth chariot arrived, a cold shout finally came from inside. Terrifying runes swept between heaven and earth, blocking the ice and snow. At the same time, an old man walked out from inside. I wonder what kind of divine being he is. I'm the Myriad Transformation sect's Myriad Transformation Saint. Greetings. The ice and snow between heaven and earth melted. The law on this old man's body could dissolve everything. This was the secret technique of the Myriad Transformation sect. How dare you, Myriad Transformation Gate? You even dare to reprimand us? Divine General Wind Snow said coldly. Next to him, Peng Wanli also stood out and shouted coldly, "We're from Holy Abyss Ancient City, Holy Abyss Tower." As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people were in an uproar. In front of them, the Myriad Transformation Saint's eyes narrowed. How could he not have heard of the other party's name? So, he immediately smiled and said, "So it's a fellow Taoist from Holy Abyss Tower. My previous disciple has offended you. I will punish him. Please forgive him." The others were shocked. The Myriad Transformation Saint was also very famous. The Myriad Transformation Saint art was enough to dissolve everything. But now, the other party actually wanted to apologize. One could imagine how terrifying this group of people standing in front of them were. Chapter 4901. Divine General Windsnow said coldly, "Since you have a good attitude, I will spare your life. However, as for the person who attacked you, there was no need for you to live." She clenched her fist, and the first war chariot was instantly torn apart. The demonic beasts pulling the chariot, as well as the people inside, instantly disappeared. It was terrifying. Countless people were shocked. As they looked at Divine General Windsnow, their scalps went numb. The myriad transformations, St. Lord's expression was gloomy and cold. However, he didn't say anything. Even if he could contend against Divine General Windsnow, what about the others? He reckoned that the other party had at least 3 people who were as strong as him, or even stronger. He wasn't a match for them, so he could only accept this loss. "You have a good method. Let's go." As he spoke, he waved his hand and entered the war chariot once again. Then, he flew in another direction. When Zhu saw this, he sneered coldly. "You really don't know life from death." Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Suddenly, a ray of light burst out of his eyes as he stared at the war chariot. He sensed a familiar aura. The group landed in a manner and started to rest. Lin Xian and Xueqi walked outside. The Divine General didn't stop them, as other people were also preparing to go out and take a look. First, they wanted to scout for information. Moreover, Taiching Ancient City was also an ancient city, and they might be able to comprehend something new. Lin Xian and Xueqi held hands as they strolled under the setting sun. Soon after, they arrived at a restaurant. They sat down and chatted in a low voice as they looked at the scenery outside the window. The appearance of the two of them attracted the attention of many people. Although there were many experts in Taiching Ancient City, and they came in all shapes and sizes, the combination of Lin Xian and Xueqi was still too small. It was still too small. Lin Xian's demonic aura was monstrous, and he seemed like a peerless demonic god. As for Xueqi, she was like an ice fairy. The combination of two completely opposite auras was shocking. It was simply too shocking. However, Lin Xian and Xueqi's auras were both terrifying and ice-cold. Thus, no one dared to disturb them. At this moment, a group of people walked out of the restaurant. The person in the lead was a man. He wore armor, and his aura was just as strange and mysterious. The space around him was spinning, as if it couldn't bear his power. It was the myriad transformations law. Many people cried out in alarm. Under this kind of power, they seemed to be about to transform into the Tao. Therefore, everyone stepped aside. Thousand Transformations' young master walked over with a gloomy expression on his face. Previously, he was actually suppressed by someone. This made him very unhappy. Therefore, he was prepared to find something to be happy about. Suddenly, his eyebrows twitched and he stared at a spot upstairs. The corners of his mouth cracked open and a cold smile appeared on his face. It was them. If he remembered correctly, these people should be from the Sacred Abyss Tower in Holy Distant City. Young Master Wanhua narrowed his eyes as he walked forward. Behind him were 2 old servants. He hadn't observed Xueqi carefully before, but when he saw her now, his eyes lit up. It was rare to see such a peerless beauty. Not to mention, she had the temperament of an iceberg. He walked forward and said, "The two of you meet again?" Xueqi glanced at him expressionlessly before she withdrew her gaze. Lin Xian frowned slightly and asked, "Who are you? How dare you?" "This is my family's young master Myriad Transformations." An old servant behind him shouted coldly. His voice was like thunder. The surrounding people cried out in alarm. Young Master Wanhua was a very famous young genius. Lin Xian sneered. 1,000 Transformations sect? Young Master Wanhua? I wonder who is stronger between you and that Yunfei? Do you know Yunfei? Young Master Wanhua smiled. Our strength is about the same. In his opinion, since Yunfei knew him, he should look up to him. His strength was about the same as Yunfei's, so Yunfei should look up to him. Unfortunately, he answered incorrectly. Lin Xian said, "I see." If you had met me a few years ago, you might have had the strength to fight me. Now, I'm afraid not. Indeed, when Lin Xian was in Taiching Ancient City, he was on par with Yun Fei and the others as top geniuses. However, in these years, he had been cultivating in the sacred Abyss Tower, and his strength had advanced by leaps and bounds. Yun Fei and the others were probably no longer his match. Young Master Wanhua's face sank. Was Yun Fei looking down on him? Although you are from Sacred Abyss Ancient City, I advise you not to be too arrogant. There are always geniuses in this world that you don't understand, so I advise you to take back what you just said. However, Lin Xian directly ignored him. He said to Xueqi, "Is there anywhere you want to go in Taiching Ancient City? If I have time, I will accompany you." Okay. Xueqi smiled sweetly, revealing a beautiful smile. Young Master Wanhua's face became incomparably ugly. He was standing right beside them, but the two of them treated him like air. "Brat, are you challenging me?" He stared at Lin Xian, and there was an extremely terrifying power in his eyes. It seemed to be able to turn anyone into Dao. The void where Lin Xian was constantly shattering. He raised his head, and a piercing light burst out of his eyes. "What, you want to fight? Your old ancestor could only flee in front of us, let alone you." Young Master Wanhua's face was gloomy. He was angry because of this matter. He said coldly, "How can my old ancestor be defeated? It's just that you have more people. In a one-on-one fight, which one of you is my old ancestor's match?" Today, I will experience the strength of a genius expert from the Sacred Abyss Tower. How dare you talk big in front of me? He waved his hand, and a wave of law flew out, quickly disintegrating everything around him. Lin Xian didn't care, and the light of Demon God shot out, carrying an extremely cold aura. He was reckless. The two old servants behind him sneered. Their all-transformation's sacred art was enough to disintegrate everything. No matter how strong the other party was, it wouldn't work. However, they were soon stunned. They found that the light of Demon God blocked the all-transformations law, and it didn't disintegrate. "Damn it, what's going on?" They were shocked. Lin Xian sneered. How could these people know the power of the great dragon sword soul? His every move carried a supreme aura. As long as Lin Xian wanted to, he could even cut open the transformations law. "What, do you want to experience it?" Lin Xian also stood up, and the demonic aura on his body became even more terrifying. The young Master Wanhua's face was gloomy, and the two old servants behind him were also shocked. They whispered, "Young Master, he's a little strange. Why don't we investigate their background first before making a move?" "You want me to retreat?" The young Master Wanhua was unwilling. There were so many pairs of eyes watching. If he left now, wouldn't it be too embarrassing? At this time, exclamations came from outside, and a stream of light streaked across, tearing the void. Someone exclaimed, "Someone has returned. Quickly go inside and ask for information." In an instant, countless people were in an uproar. The young Master Wanhua's face also changed. He said, "Kid, you're very lucky. I'll let you go this time, but next time, I'll let you know the consequences of offending me." After saying that, he hurriedly left. The others were also shocked. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was curious. Who had returned? Chapter 4902. He looked at a person next to him. The person next to him said hurriedly, "You must have come for the Heavenly Court's ruins." This time, the Heavenly Court's ruins had appeared 4 days ago. It had appeared in the void, and it had caused many cracks to appear in the sky. At that time, some daring people had directly flown into the cracks to explore. Now, it was this group of people who had returned. Lin Xian was surprised when he heard this. Someone had already started to act in advance? He wondered if it was Heishan and the others. "Let's go." He and Xueqi also walked out. Countless people had already gathered outside. Several people appeared in the sky, and 3 of them were injured and stained with blood. Their faces were pale. Someone came to receive them. They asked, "What happened inside? Did you bring anything out?" The 3 of them wanted to say something, but their bodies suddenly split open and turned into blood mist. Their souls were also instantly destroyed. Damn it! The people who came to receive them were also shocked. Two of them had died together. The others retreated in fright. What kind of power was this? Even if these people managed to escape, they would be instantly destroyed. Damn it! Couldn't we get any information? These people gritted their teeth. Someone said, apart from us, there should be 3 other teams. Maybe they can bring some information out. Everyone was waiting anxiously. Night came. Xiaozhuang opened his eyes. His body turned into countless butterflies and flew into the 9 heavens. Then, he drew a dreamy moon that slowly rotated. The whole azure city became quiet, as if everything had fallen into a deep sleep. That night, many people had a strange dream. In the dream, they seemed to be enveloped by a mysterious power. When they opened their eyes the next day, they were so tired that they couldn't even stand up. Damn it! What happened? What happened last night? Their faces were filled with shock. However, they couldn't find out who attacked them. The dreamy moon in the sky had already disappeared. Xiaozhuang walked out again and yawned. He looked at the snow-wind divine general and said, I found something. A few days ago, the space above the heavenly court's ruins had been torn open, and an even more terrifying illusory palace appeared. Everyone guessed that this was another part of the imperial court's remains. Quite a few people had gathered at that time, and some of them immediately decided to enter. 4 teams entered the spatial crack. After that, the spatial crack disappeared again. Only the illusion of the heavenly court appeared. Everyone was waiting. Yesterday, a team of 3 people came back with blood on their bodies. However, before they could say anything, they were killed by a mysterious force. Now the others were waiting for the other 3 teams. Hearing this, Divine General Wind Snow and the others nodded. All right, let's wait then. Now was not the time to make a move. Lin Xian went out again. As he gathered information, he searched for traces of He Shan and the others. However, he didn't find them this time. He didn't know if those people had come or if they were hiding. He was not in a hurry. If it was really the remains of the heavenly court, those people from Black Mountain would definitely come again. He waited for another 5 days. A team came out. This person was tall and sturdy, like a fiend god. There were many cracks on his body. It was even surrounded by saint blood. He walked out and said, Don't wait, the others are already dead. What? Then the person in front of him was the only hope? Many people were surprised. Some people's eyes flickered, and they secretly wanted to make a move. In the end, they were killed by that person with a palm. 2 great saints secretly acted, but they were pierced by that person's gaze and turned into a bloody mist. The others were horrified. Who was this person? It was too terrifying. At this moment, 9 rays of light and figures walked over from the distance. They were riding on auspicious clouds like immortals. Countless people were surprised. It was the people from the Purple Mansion. After the 9 successors of the Purple Mansion arrived, they respectfully bowed and congratulated the senior on his successful return. Was this person also a Purple Mansion expert? Countless people were shocked. Lin Xian and the others also came. Divine General Wind Snow, Divine General Ocean Origin, and the others frowned. This person's aura was so strong that it seemed to be above theirs. Who exactly was he? Lin Xian's pupils constricted. It was him. He was really too shocked. This person was indeed very strong because he had reached the peak of the Great Saint Realm. Moreover, he was someone from 10,000 years ago. He was the master of the Great Wilderness. They didn't expect him to enter the ruins of the Heavenly Court. No wonder he could come back alive. This person's strength had definitely reached an extremely terrifying realm. Lin Xian explained the matter briefly. Divine General Ocean Origin and the others were shocked. Divine General Qian Chen also frowned. How did you know? He asked coldly. Lin Xian said. Naturally, it was the information he had gathered. Divine General Wind Snow was surprised. They didn't know about this. It seemed that this mad god had his own channels to gather information. But forget it. Everyone had their secrets. They wouldn't ask. What surprised them was that the Purple Mansion would obtain the secrets of the Heavenly Court. This wasn't good news because the Purple Mansion and the Heavenly Court were sworn enemies. At this moment, A woman walked over and said respectfully, "Senior Great Wilderness, the mansion lord is very concerned about your safety. Please come back with us." Lin Xian also knew this woman. It was Qin Xiener. He didn't expect her to still be in the prefect. Moreover, it seemed that she had become an even more important person. The 9 successors of the Purple Mansion weren't fixed. There were 9 of them. However, the people would change. For example, the previous Yao Guang was one of the successors. However, after he left, someone would replace him. Before this, Lin Xian had also killed a successor of the Purple Mansion. The result would be the same. He would quickly make up for it. And Qin Xiener was still one of the 9 successors. This was enough to show that her strength was extremely terrifying in these rumors. Hearing this, the Lord of the Great Wilderness nodded and walked forward. He took a step forward. An extremely terrifying flame appeared on his body and enveloped his entire body. It wanted to burn him to ashes. Not good. Qin Xiener and the other 9 successors' expressions changed drastically. The others' pupils constricted. Even such a terrifying person was going to be killed by the mysterious power of the heavenly court? The Lord of the Great Wilderness seemed to be angry. He roared into the sky. The power on his body surged in all directions. At the same time, an even more mysterious rune flashed between his eyebrows, protecting his soul. His legs turned into nothingness. However, the flames of the heavenly court were also restrained by the life rune between his eyebrows. It didn't continue to burn. He snorted and said, "Let's go." His broken body tore through the void and flew in the direction of the Purple Mansion. Qin Xiener and the others quickly followed. The others were also shocked. They were all nervous. This was the only one who could come out alive. In other words, he was the only one who could bring news out of the heavenly court. If the other party had fallen, then no one would know. However, it seemed that he had a mysterious Dharma treasure that could block the terrifying power of the heavenly court. Lin Xian was also shocked. As expected of an ancient expert, Chapter 4903. Just as everyone thought that the Lord of the Grand Desolation would leave and return to his purple mansion to recover, the void broke open. A fist cut through the ages, blocking his path. At the same time, a vast voice sounded. "Fellow Taoist, please wait. Who are you? How dare you block my path?" The Lord of the Grand Desolation roared. His gaze turned into a peerless blade, causing the entire world to tremble. The endless void was collapsing. However, no one appeared, but the voice sounded again. "Fellow Taoist, you are the only one who came out alive. Do you know what's going on inside?" The surrounding people were shocked. It seemed that this mysterious expert wanted to ask about the heavenly court. The Lord of the Grand Desolation snorted. "If you want to know, go and see for yourself." His body rose into the air again. The huge hand in the sky slapped down, shattering the world. "If you don't tell me, you can forget about leaving." The Lord of the Grand Desolation's eyes were filled with killing intent, but he didn't make a move because he wasn't in a good state. Although he suppressed the mysterious power of the heavenly court, he didn't completely eliminate it. If he couldn't suppress it and acted rashly, he might be killed by this power. Therefore, he turned around and went in another direction. However, in that direction, a scythe slashed down like a peerless divine blade, blocking his path again. This time, the other party was even more terrifying. He didn't ask any questions at all and directly attacked, as if he wanted to kill the Lord of the Grand Desolation. Damn it! The Lord of the Grand Desolation was angry. The Divine Realm expert who attacked before also snorted. He only wanted to ask for information, but this person wanted to kill him directly. The two sides started fighting. Neither of them revealed their true forms, but all kinds of terrifying divine abilities appeared and disappeared mysteriously. The void turned into a terrifying abyss, and everyone felt their scalps go numb. Qin Xiener and the others' expressions changed drastically. Now that the Lord of the Grand Desolation was blocked, they had to inform the mansion master. They formed a hand seal and sent the news out. On the other side, the eyes of Divine General Hai Yuan and the others flickered. Should they make a move? Lin Xian was even more surprised. Although the two of them didn't reveal their true forms, he could roughly tell who they were. The person who attacked before had a terrifying aura. He could make the dragon's sword soul in his body let out a dragon roar, which meant that the first person was from the dragon race. He was most likely an expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. Then, one of them was directly killed. Needless to say, that person should be someone from the Heavenly Court. At the thought of this, Lin Xian said to the Ocean Abyss Divine General, "Senior, I don't think we should take action. There are so many people here. Why don't we just sit back and reap the benefits?" That was good too. Divine General Hai Yuan nodded. Divine General Windsnow did not refuse either. On the other hand, Divine General Qian Chen's expression was cold. He wanted to say something, but at that moment, experts arrived from afar. The strong cultivators of the Zifu Palace had arrived. They swept through the 8 wastelands and roared madly. Who dared to make a move against their people? This time, quite a few great sages had come, and they blocked the path of heaven and earth. Protect the master of the great desolation. The 2 figures in the sky did not attack again. The second mysterious expert disappeared. The first person to make a move appeared. He said in a clear voice, "I am the Dragon Reflection Master of the 10,000 Dragons Court." When these words were spoken, everyone was in an uproar. 10,000 Dragon Court, that was an emperor clan. Who would have thought that they would appear as well? The faces of the people from the Z government turned cold. So it's a fellow cultivator from the 10,000 Dragon Court. Why are you attacking our people? The Dragon Reflection Master said coldly. He was the only one who came out, so he knew the situation inside. We request to share the information. Otherwise, the 10,000 Dragon Court will use our own methods. I don't think the others will agree to it. The Dragon Reflection Master looked around. The people around him were in a heated discussion. Among them, there were experts from the remote antiquity families and major sects who walked out. The Yi family, Gu family, Light Race, Holy Heaven Race, Pill Cauldron Sect, Serene Cloud Sect, Myriad Transformation Sect, and the surrounding major sects and remote antiquity families all moved out. They also said that it was better to share the good things. That's right. Does the Z government want to take it all for themselves? Damn it. The faces of the experts from the Z government turned ugly. Originally, they wanted to sneak in without anyone knowing. If there were treasures that could be used, they would take them. It would not be long before the Heavenly Court was destroyed. It would be best if it disappeared completely. But who would have thought that the news would spread so quickly? Furthermore, the Master of the Great Desolation was stopped by someone. If they wanted to make a move now, they would have to become enemies with the entire world. They had no choice but to look at the Master of the Great Desolation. The Master of the Great Desolation's face was extremely cold. With a wave of his hand, he took out an ancient storage ring and said, "I don't have any other information. I only brought out a storage ring." There is a storage ring inside. Countless people's eyes turned red. There were definitely rare treasures in there. Let me see, the Dragon Reflection Master said. The Master of the Great Desolation snorted. There are a total of 13 items inside. I will let you see them. Then, the Z government will auction them. I will not hide any of them, but if you want to get them, you will have to rely on your abilities. With a wave of his hand, 13 treasures flew out and danced in the air. Countless people opened their eyes wide and memorized them carefully. Lin Xian also looked over and realized that there were indeed things inside. In the next moment, the Master of the Great Desolation kept the 13 treasures and handed the storage ring to the Z government. The auction will begin in 3 days. With that, he said coldly, you can let me go now. This time, the Dragon Reflection Master did not come again. Everyone else was silent. The Master of the Great Desolation's body tore through the void and disappeared. The others stared at the Z government's people. A woman from the Z government, Elder Yu, walked out. She said, "Everyone, don't be anxious. You have already seen the 13 treasures. When the time comes, not a single item will be missing from the auction. Everyone, go back and prepare. Without sufficient financial resources, it is impossible to obtain such items." Everyone started to contact their respective sects and families. They had to obtain at least one of the 13 treasures. Of course, there were people who did not want to auction. They would not give the Z government's resources for free. Thus, someone immediately mobilized a group of forces and secretly attacked. A total of 7 experts hid in the void and attacked Elder Yu and the rest. Elder Yu sneered. Opposing the Z government, are you courting death? At this moment, the Z government had already recovered for a long time. Thus, they had organized a group of experts. Furthermore, their foundation was extremely terrifying. Other than Elder Yu and the other great sages, there were a few ancient figures. One of them was the 9 Nether Demon King that Lin Xian had seen before, the 7 Extinction Sword King, and the Draconic Elephant Force King. These people were extremely terrifying and were not weaker than the Snow Wind Divine General. In fact, they were even more terrifying. When they attacked, they easily turned the 7 hidden experts into blood mist. Who dared to attack again? The Z government will exterminate their clans. Exterminate their sects. Elder Yu's cold voice sounded. Everyone's scalp went numb. Chapter 4904. After the Purple Mansion realm displayed its power, no one dared to make a move in secret. Everyone was gathering their wealth to fight for a relic of the heavenly courts. The Ocean Abyss Divine General and the Windsnow Divine General were also discussing that they would participate in the auction. They had to get one. Lin Xian didn't plan to participate in the auction. After all, there were Divine Generals, so it didn't matter if he won or not. He planned to go to the place where the Heavenly Courts relic appeared to take a look. There were many people wandering around that place. After all, everyone wanted to go in and take a look, but no one dared to. Of the 4 teams that went in, only one person came back alive, and that person was a peak great sage. Even someone like that almost died, so it was even more difficult for others to go in. Could it be that the heavenly courts were so terrifying? Some young geniuses despaired. Some of the older generation experts said, it wasn't like that. The 4 teams that went in earlier went in through the spatial rift. They might have been killed by the spatial power after entering, or it might be the array left behind by the heavenly courts. It might be much safer if they went in through the main entrance. So that was the case. Some people nodded in understanding. Some people said, but it was even harder to enter through the main entrance. This was the heavenly courts. Who could enter except for the people of the heavenly courts? The old man smiled. That was why the previous scene happened. Everyone wanted to get the relevant information. As for the 13 treasures that came out, they were all related to the heavenly courts. With those treasures, they might be able to enter the heavenly courts. That was right. Those ancient families and major sects all thought so. Therefore, they would at least get one of the 13 treasures. Some families and sects were even prepared to secretly join hands to get one. Let's go and take a look. The auction will definitely be earth-shattering. Countless people left the ruins and prepared to go to the auction. However, a figure went in the opposite direction. He floated down from the distance and arrived in the void. He looked up at the sky. There was a dreamy palace in the sky that was faintly discernible. The heavenly courts? Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he walked forward. There were some people who stayed behind. When they saw this scene, they exclaimed, "Look, who is that person? He wants to enter the heavenly courts now. It's useless. Who does he think he is? A peak great sage?" Moreover, there weren't many spatial rifts now. It was more dangerous. He would definitely die if he went in. No one was optimistic. At this moment, a voice rang out. "Reckless fool. You think you can enter?" The 1,000 Transformations young master looked at the figure in front of him and laughed coldly. He didn't expect to meet the other party here. Lin Xian stepped into the air and approached the illusion of the heavenly court. He felt an extremely terrifying and mysterious aura obstructing him. He activated the heaven-devouring jar and released an aura. He realized that the mysterious power of the ancient celestial court was weakening. Lin Xian was stunned. From the looks of it, the heaven-devouring great monarch must be related to the heavenly court. Perhaps he was a member of the heavenly court in the past. He wondered if Black Mountain could open the door to the heavenly court with the sky lantern in his hand. He guessed that it should be possible. Black Mountain was a member of the Heavenly Court and cultivated the Heavenly Court arts. It was a pity that he didn't cultivate it. If he did, he might be able to open the gates of the Heavenly Court immediately. But, with the heaven-devouring jar, Lin Xian would also give it a try. Thinking of this, he continued to walk forward. Although he had the heaven-devouring jar, the illusion of the imperial court was truly too terrifying. It was a myriad of phenomena, as if it was suppressing the heaven and earth. The further he went, the greater the pressure he felt. His body felt like it was about to collapse. Lin Xian's demonic aura was monstrous. It shrouded everything and blocked everyone's vision. Then, he took out the heaven-devouring jar and let it float above his head. At the same time, an extremely terrifying golden light shone in his eyes. He activated the heavenly secret god eyes to the extreme. He wanted to see through the universe. His golden eyes were like the eyes of a god. They could see through everything. He realized that in the mysterious illusion, there was a majestic palace that extended into the distance. At the front of the palace, there was a heavenly gate. It stood there, unchanging. The power above was extremely terrifying. It was as if it was a heavenly moat that blocked everyone's path. There was a stone plaque on the heavenly gate. 2 words flew on it: Southern Heaven. Southern Heaven Gate. Lin Xian was shocked. Was this the legendary Southern Heaven Gate? It actually existed in this world. Just as he was about to investigate the Southern Heaven Gate, an extremely powerful suppressive force came, directly shattering Lin Xian's vision. He took 2 steps back and narrowed his eyes. What a terrifying aura! He didn't expect it to be able to detect the existence of the Southern Heaven Gate. Suddenly, he was stunned. He remembered that when the 13 treasures flew out of his storage ring, there was a token with the words Southern Heaven written on it. Southern Heaven token, Southern Heaven Gate. Could it be that one could enter the Southern Heaven Gate with the token? Lin Xian was surprised. This seemed to be an incredible piece of news, so he prepared to go back and tell Immortal General Hai Yuan. The others were surprised. This kid used demonic aura. He was an expert of the demonic path. What was he doing? Did he obtain the secret of the heavenly court? Someone sneered. Impossible. Some said that he might have some special methods. After all, he was too close to the heavenly court's illusion. No one could reach that step. Moreover, he wasn't a peerless expert at all. At this moment, Lin Xian turned around and left. Was he leaving? Countless people exclaimed. Moreover, he left so decisively. Could it be that he really obtained some information? Stop right there. With a cold shout, a figure flew out and blocked Lin Xian's path. The 1,000 Transformations young master stared ahead and said, "Kid, what did you get just now? You again?" Lin Xian frowned. "I spared your life before, but I didn't expect you to be so reckless. You still dare to appear in front of me? Do you think I don't dare to kill you? With just you?" The 1,000 Transformations young master sneered. "Obediently tell me what happened before. What are you hiding? Otherwise, I won't let you go. I think the others won't let you leave either." As his voice fell, several figures appeared in the surroundings, blocking all of Lin Xian's paths of retreat. How similar was this scene? Previously, there was a peerless expert blocking the Lord of the Great Desolation. The Lord of the Great Desolation had no choice but to take out his storage ring. Now, the 1,000 Transformations young master and the others wanted to imitate the peerless expert and block Lin Xian here, forcing him to tell them about the demonic qi. Lin Xian stood in the void with his hands behind his back. He looked disdainfully at those figures. Then, he shook his head and sneered. "You want to imitate the peerless expert? Far from it. You dare to look down on me?" Instantly, someone was enraged. One of them had endless flames on his body, illuminating half the sky. He slashed out flames with his saber, and the divine saber descended from the sky. This saber enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian turned his head and stared ahead. He laughed loudly, and the demonic qi on his body spread. "It seems that my name hasn't spread to Grand Clarity Ancient City. Well, today, I will use your blood to tell Grand Clarity Ancient City that I, Mad God, am here." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.